Chapter 35:56. Yiqing Luo carried the 3 bottles of beauty ointment as she walked out of the treasure-gathering hall. In case City Lord Lu and Xiao Yulu did anything secretly, Yiqing Luo directly let Old Lai stay in the treasure-gathering hall to take charge. After that, she and Xiao Yinyan headed towards the direction of the medical hall. The minute they reached the medical hall, Yiqing Luo saw the entrance of the medical hall surrounded by hundreds of citizens. When they saw Yiqing Luo and Xiao Yinyan, they automatically opened up a path for them to enter. Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she exchanged glances with Xiao Yinyan. She was now a member of the treasure-gathering hall and had offended without embroiling City's mysterious maiden, injuring her. When the citizens saw her, they were filled with respect. There was no longer the disgust they had when they looked at her previously. Such a change, which explained it perfectly. Yesterday, Xiao Yulu's action of courting death had successfully courted her own death, and she made use of this matter to increase Pei Sheng's favorable impression, which was the right thing to do. At least for now, the scale in the citizens' hearts had already leaned towards their side. Yiqing Luo and Xiao Yinyan walked into the medical hall and saw Pei Sheng carrying the medicinal concoction, running back and forth. From time to time, he would accompany the elderly citizens and whisper something to them. Indeed, Pei Sheng was the best choice to increase the favorable impression. Sincerity was the best way to exchange for the other party's sincerity. Hearing footsteps, Pei Sheng turned around and saw the 2 of them walking over as he immediately stood up. "Why are you guys here?" "To see you and the citizens." Yiqing Luo swept a glance at the surroundings. These citizens were arranged in the hall at the backyard of the medical hall, with each person lying on a straw mat. If it wasn't for City Lord Lu's words and Qiao family bearing the expenses for these people, the medical hall would absolutely not take in so many citizens. Yiqing Luo estimated that there were about 80 over people left in the medical hall, and all of their faces weren't as pale as yesterday, looking rather spirited. Xiao Yulu and Xiao Yinyan had injured these citizens' internal organs when they had fought against Xiao Yulu. Generally speaking, if they weren't treated in time, their internal organs would dry up or they would bleed to death. Even if they were treated, they would need a lot of time to recuperate. Therefore, most profound practitioners would rather suffer external injuries like a severed arm or a broken knuckle than suffer any internal injuries. Fortunately, there was a medicinal concoction brewed by Gu Zishi specifically for internal injuries. It could quickly heal the damaged organs of the citizens. From the intense pain in their internal organs to the relief of their upper body, the citizens could clearly feel the changes. In addition, Pei Sheng had taken care of them through the night and refused to accept any payment from the citizens. The citizens' impression and attitude towards Pei Sheng had obviously changed. Moreover, when Pei Sheng faced everyone's thanks, he simply scratched his head, saying that this was all Yiqing Luo's suggestion, and it was his little sister who had concocted the medicinal herbs and personally brewed the medicinal concoction. As for him, he was just an errand boy who came to deliver medicine to everyone. This made the citizens even more fond of him. So when he saw Yiqing Luo, his attitude became much gentler. Yiqing Luo wanted this kind of effect. She smiled and lightly patted Pei Sheng's shoulder. "It's been hard on you. While taking care of everyone, don't forget to take care of your own body. If you have the chance, take a good rest. Your body isn't that good either." Chapter 35:57. Yiqing Luo's voice wasn't loud, but it wasn't considered soft, as everyone in the hall could hear her. The citizens all looked over. Pei Sheng's handsome face congealed slightly as he lowered his head. "I know. I will take note." Yiqing Luo patted his shoulder. "Look at the dark circles under your eyelids, and you still say you will take note. If you don't rest, the person lying in the medical hall will be you." Pei Sheng opened his mouth and wanted to rebuke. Before he could say anything, he met with the young lady's bright eyes. He was stunned as his voice was stuck in his throat. He saw the young lady walking past him and into the middle of the hall. Her temperament was outstanding, and even though she was masked with a veil, it was still extremely eye-catching. The citizens' gazes were uncontrollably congealed on her. When Yiqing Luo walked into the main hall, Her bewitching eyes smiled as she looked at the crowd. "If any of you are not feeling well, you can ask me. I'm an alchemist, and I can take care of you. Let Ashang go take a rest first. His body isn't very well." The citizens looked at Pei Shang's pale complexion and the dark circles under his eyes and hurriedly said, no matter, we don't need to take special care. Boss Pei, hurry and take a rest. You can't waste your body like this. There's only 4 days left for the auction. As the boss of the Treasure Exchange Hall, you must perk up. We're fine. There's no need to specially make a trip to send us medicine. That's right, these medicines, the doctors in the medical hall all said that this is a top-grade medicine for treating internal injuries. It's a waste for us to drink it. The Treasure Exchange Hall is about to take part in the auction, and your lives are usually very tight. Don't waste the medicinal herbs for us. The citizens started to speak out one by one, and their tone was filled with gratitude and concern towards Pei Shang. Actually, everyone was mutual. If you treat me well, I'll treat you twice as well. Treating people sincerely would always be reciprocated. These citizens might have hurt Pei Shang, hurt the Treasure Exchange Hall before, but this was also human nature. No matter if the matter 5 years ago, the Treasure Exchange Hall embezzled and cheated the best trading house's honor was true or false. The citizens didn't mind. They might want to believe in the Treasure Exchange Hall, but they were also afraid of what if. Humans were like this, afraid of hurting themselves and hurting their own interests. Naturally, they would avoid this what if. But now, the citizens' attitude towards Pei Shang had changed. It was because he believed in Pei Shang's character. He had personally verified Pei Shang's character. Listening to the citizens' words, since 5 years ago, Pei Shang, who had never enjoyed the attention of others, actually had red eyes in front of everyone. Yiqing Luo shot him a look. Pei Shang didn't return to the treasure gathering hall to rest. He took a straw mat from the main hall and went to the inner hall to rest. Pei Shang went to rest, and the task of serving medicine to the citizens fell into Yiqing Luo's hands. When Yiqing Luo delivered the medicine into the hands of the citizens, they didn't dare to receive the medicine. For them, Yiqing Luo was like a fairy. Let the fairy bring the medicine. They really didn't dare to take it. In addition, Qiao Yinyan also helped Yiqing Luo to serve the medicine to everyone. The citizens were even more terrified. Should they laugh at the blessings of their ancestors, or should they be moved and cry? She was a celestial maiden from the underworld palace who dared to offend even the Empyrean fairy and the city lord. A genius youth, the Qiao family's young master Qiao. These two big shots were giving medicine and water to a group of cannon fodder. Chapter 35:58. Yiqing Luo saw the fear and uneasiness in the citizens' eyes. She smiled even more gently. Her long and narrow eyes were curved, forming a demonic and charming arc. Mysterious fairy was targeting me, so she acted without any explanation and without embroiling city. In order to protect me, young Master Qiao stepped forward, which is why he hurt you innocent people. Yiqing Luo said gently, so the reason why you are hurt is because of me. She passed a bowl of medicine into the hands of a citizen and went to fill another bowl. You don't have to feel any psychological burden. This is what we should do. No. Misty, this matter is not your fault. Yes, we don't blame you. Don't say that. You are also innocent. This is all you lose. This person was about to complain, but was interrupted by Yiqing Luo. This is without embroiling city. No matter what mysterious fairy does, it is right. The citizen swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. That's right, this was without embroiling city. Princess Yulu was without embroiling city's mysterious fairy. He was just an ordinary citizen. If he offended Princess Yulu, his ending would be terrible. Thank you, Misty, for stopping in time. The citizen heaved a sigh of relief. Yiqing Luo shook her head with a smile. City Lord Lu is funding to take care of you and nurse your health. What you need to do is to take good care of your health. Your life is more important than anything else. The citizens held the medicine bowls and looked at Yiqing Luo gratefully. But it was also because of Yiqing Luo's words that were so gentle. The citizens slowly accepted the medicine that Yiqing Luo and Qiao Yinyan brought over with ease. After the medicine was all served, Yiqing Luo checked the pulse of the citizens who were seriously ill. Then she personally wrote a new prescription for them. She took the prescription and went to get the medicine. Xiao Yinyan also followed, with Xiao Yinyan's face scanning machine around. Yiqing Luo smoothly came to the pharmacy storeroom. The two of them waited at the door for the apprentice to get the medicine. Xiao Yinyan leaned against the door. His black eyes stared deeply at Yiqing Luo, seemingly thinking about something. After being stared at for a long time, Yiqing Luo raised her eyelids. Why? Are you attracted by my beauty? You are very smart and very good at scheming. He crossed his arms over his chest and tilted his head slightly. Silver hair, hanging on his shoulders, scattered down. It made his handsome face look even more elegant and noble. In the Grand Hall, you deliberately worried about Brother Pei's health, and then you mentioned the treasure gathering and the grand auction. You wanted to arouse the citizens' guilt towards Brother Pei, and also indirectly wash away the bad impression the citizens have of the treasure gathering. You took care of them personally and pretended to be gentle so that the citizens would believe you. Therefore, when your skin beautifying cream appears, not only will they not question it, they'll even protect you. Xiao Yinyan paused and looked at her with a burning gaze. There was a faint smile on his face. Am I right? Can't I really worry about Ashang's health? Can't I take care of them? Also, why am I not gentle? Do I need to pretend to be gentle? Yiqing Luo stared at him. Where's the trust between people? Can you trust me a little more and be less suspicious? Xiao Yinyan looked at her for some time and decisively shook his head. Towards you, I can't. Yiqing Luo. Don't say it, as if he knew her very well. At this moment, the pharmacy's apprentice had already brought out the medicine. Yiqing Luo took the medicine bag and walked towards the place where the medicine was brewed. Chapter 35:59. But Luo, he paused as his voice deepened. You just need to remember one thing. No matter what, I will help you. Yiqing Luo paused as she frowned slightly. Between her and Xiao Yinyan, they had only known each other for a day, but somehow she felt that Xiao Yinyan's attitude toward her was too special. In the span of a day in Without Embroiling City, Yiqing Luo more or less understood from the citizens' discussions. Xiao Yinyan, this person, although he treated people gently and politely, but he exuded a faint sense of alienation. His figure was outstanding, his aura was imposing, making people unable to approach him. Why? Was he treating her so differently? Fell in love at first sight? No. This was impossible. Xiao Yinyan's attitude towards her was very subtle, but it didn't seem like liking her. Or was it really like what he said? He just wanted to make friends with her? Make friends? One must know when the two of them first met. She still looked like a disheveled beggar, carried away by Qiao Yulu's maid. Just like this, she could even attract Xiao Yinyan's gaze, making him think, hey, disheveled little beggar, your disheveled look has successfully attracted the attention of this young master. This thought flashed across Yiqing Luo's mind. Yiqing Luo hugged her arms and shivered. Damn it, simply too terrifying. She didn't even turn her head back as she carried the medicine bag and walked forward quickly. Just after passing through the main hall, suddenly she heard a few noises coming from outside the medical hall. Immediately, she saw 3 figures rushing into the main hall. Following closely behind them were a few guards of the medical center who were staring at the 3 figures with vigilance. These 3 people had just rushed in. This caused the citizens in the main hall to panic. There were a few citizens who were so shocked that they hurriedly crawled to the side. This action further deepened their internal injuries. Yiqing Luo's expression changed slightly as she concentrated on the 3 of them. The 3 of them were dressed in dark green robes, embroidered with a blood-like, dyed flower. The 3 of them had a serious expression. Their brows were filled with murderous intent. Obviously, their hands were stained with a lot of blood. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes. These people came to the clinic aggressively. It did not seem like they were here to see a doctor. Among the 3 of them, the one who was standing in the middle walked up quickly when he saw Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo didn't move. Behind her, the citizens sucked in a breath of cold air and whispered to her to leave. But in the blink of an eye, That person was already standing in front of Yiqing Luo. He raised his hand and grabbed towards Yiqing Luo's shoulder. He attacked with great strength and speed. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed slightly as she flipped her wrist. Her slender fingers accurately grasped the man's wrist. Gotcha! The sound of bones breaking was extremely clear in the silent hall. The man's face paled, but he didn't make a sound. The two people behind him quickly stepped forward. You dare to attack. It seems like he was the one who made the first move. Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased slightly as she glanced coldly at that pale-faced man who was holding his hand. Who are you people? What do you want to do? The man gritted his teeth and endured the pain. I mean no harm. You say no harm, and it means no harm? Making a move the minute we meet. I've also said that I don't have any ill intentions when I break your hand. Yiqing Luo sneered as her lips curled. You. The two people behind were flustered and exasperated as they were about to rush forward. Stop right there. The man whose hand was broken stopped them and looked at Yiqing Luo. Is young Lady D Luo? Young Lady D? Yiqing Luo raised her brows. Yes. Will young lady please make a trip with us? That man said. Chapter 3560. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but laughed. If you want to politely invite me to follow you, shouldn't you introduce yourself first? Those few people exchanged glances but didn't reply. The voices of the surrounding citizens were filled with fear and astonishment. Aren't these mercenaries from the Blood Mercenary Group? That's right. They're from the Blood Mercenary Group. Their clothes have the Blood Mercenary Group's logo. Why would the Blood Mercenary Group's people come to look for Misty? Could it be that Princess Yulu had invited the Blood Mercenary Group for help? When the citizens heard the name Blood Mercenary Group, they were all stunned. Mercenary groups like these were usually only seen in the wild or in extremely dangerous places. It was rare to see mercenaries roaming around the city, especially the second-ranked Blood Mercenary Group in the Earth Realm. It was even more impossible for ordinary citizens like them to see them. But now, the moment the Blood Mercenary Group's mercenaries appeared, 3 of them appeared. The citizens' first reaction was, Princess Yulu had invited the Blood Mercenary Group's mercenaries to deal with Misty. There was a subtle change in the expressions of the citizens. The gazes towards the Blood Mercenary Group were filled with disgust rather than fear. The 3 of them who were stared at by the citizens had an ugly expression as they frowned and stared at Yiqing Luo. Misty, don't waste our time. When Yiqing Luo heard the citizens' discussion, the expression on her face had already concealed the sharpness from earlier. Her slender brows were knitted tightly as her tone was worried. Did something happen to Zishi? She mentioned Gu Zishi's name. The eyes of the mercenary whose hand was broken sunk slightly. Follow us, and you'll know. Noticing the change in the 3 mercenaries' expressions, Yiqing Luo's heart thumped and didn't continue to tangle with them. Lead the way. The 3 of them turned around and were about to leave. Wait! A man's panting voice was heard from behind. Pei Sheng rushed up quickly, totally not fearing the mercenary's murderous aura, as he pounced forward and placed both hands on one of the mercenary's shoulders. What did you say? What happened to Zishi? Pei Sheng's handsome face was filled with anxiety and panic. Having just woken up, he rushed over without even putting on his shoes. Her clothes were slightly disheveled, and a few strands of her black hair had loosened from the crown on her head. He was in an extremely sorry state. The mercenary's face darkened, and just as he was about to raise his hand to push away the hands on his shoulders, but just as he moved. However, he found that his shoulders seemed to be pressed down by a huge rock, and he was unable to move even half a step. What kind of strength was that? He was a mercenary of the Bloody Mercenary Group. He was actually pressed down by a weak-looking piece of trash to the point where he couldn't move. Say something. What happened to Zishi? Pei Sheng became increasingly anxious when he saw the mercenary's gloomy expression and his silence. He couldn't help but increase the strength of his hands. The mercenary's facial features twitched in pain, and his face gradually turned pale. He struggled to break free from Pei Sheng's hands. The more he struggled, the more Pei Sheng thought about it, the more flustered he felt. His mind was filled with Gu Zishi's smile. His heart and his throat felt like it was being choked by someone, making it hard for him to breathe. Just as the mercenary's body couldn't take the load, his legs bent and was about to be pressed onto the ground. A fair hand moved slightly. Chapter 35:61. That profound energy had no attack power at all, but it made Pei Sheng move his hands away from the mercenary's shoulders. Ah Sheng, calm down. Yiqing Luo walked up and blocked Pei Sheng's body. Let's follow them to take a look. Pei Sheng looked extremely dejected. When his hands left the mercenary's body, his slender body staggered a few steps back. I can't calm down. Zishi. She went to such a dangerous place like West Cliff Mountain because of me. If anything happens to her, I will never forgive myself. He muttered softly. His voice was slightly choked. Don't guess blindly. The Blood Mercenary Group didn't say anything happened to Zishi. Yiqing Luo sighed and looked at the three mercenaries lead the way. The three mercenaries looked at each other with an ugly expression and quickly turned to leave the clinic. Pei Sheng hurriedly chased after them. Yiqing Luo instructed the citizens and passed the medicine bag to the medical hall's apprentice as she followed up behind them. She had just reached the entrance when she saw Qiao Yinyan following her. She paused her footsteps. Don't follow me. Qiao Yinyan shook his head. Miss Gu followed the Blood Mercenary Group to West Cliff Mountain. Now that they are here, it must be related to Miss Gu. West Cliff Mountain is too dangerous. I have to follow you. Go back to the treasure gathering and ask Old Lai to rush to West Cliff Mountain. Yiqing Luo wasn't sure if the Blood Mercenary Group had been bribed by Qiao Yulu and deliberately set up a trap, so it was better to let Old Lai come over. Even without the seniors from the Hell Palace, I can still protect you. Qiao Yinyan replied seriously. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips. Because of Qiao Yulu, I already have a subtle relationship with the Qiao family. You are the eldest young master of the Qiao family. If anything happens to you because of me, Master Qiao will not let me off. No, Qiao Yinyan replied without any hesitation. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. Are you so sure? Qiao Yinyan nodded. No matter what happens to me, I am willing to do it. Father will not blame you for this. Absolutely not. Yiqing Luo. She felt a shiver when she heard these words from Qiao Yinyan's mouth. Willingly? Why does it sound like something a pitiful male antagonist would say to the female lead? Yiqing Luo took a deep breath and rubbed her arms. You don't mind, but I mind. I don't want to be involved with the Qiao family in any way. As she walked out of the clinic, she continued, To be honest, I don't mind being friends with you, but I don't need more progress. If Qiao Yinyan suffered some kind of injury because of her, even if family head Qiao really didn't care, she, Yiqing Luo, still owed the Qiao family a favor. He would still be involved with the Qiao family. The Qiao family was a large family that coexisted with City Lord Lu's faction in Without Embroiling City. Once he was tainted by this kind of aristocratic family, it would be very troublesome. Her only goal now was to find DMO Xian. Then they would search for her biological parents. Qiao Yinyan didn't reply. Behind him, there was no sound of footsteps following. Yiqing Luo didn't turn back as she walked straight ahead. He had only taken a few steps. Qiao Yinyan's somewhat hoarse voice came from behind her. Do you love him very much? Yiqing Luo's footsteps stopped abruptly as she frowned. She didn't quite understand the meaning behind Qiao Yinyan's question, but she didn't have any hesitation. Chapter 35:62. Qiao Yinyan didn't speak for a long time. Yiqing Luo remained silent for a moment as she sensed that the bloody mercenary group's presence was getting further and further away. She didn't bother about Qiao Yinyan anymore as she hurried towards the direction of the presence. The wind brought Qiao Yinyan's deep voice. What a pity! Very, very slight. Almost inaudible. Pity? What's a pity? Yiqing Luo was stunned, but very quickly, she threw this matter to the back of her mind. She hurriedly chased after him. West Cliff Mountain. Although this West Cliff Mountain was called a mountain, but at the entrance, at first glance, it was an extremely dangerous and terrifying dense forest. Behind the lush trees were towering mountains that pierced through the clouds. But on this mountain range, there was an extremely strange black yin-chi floating, constantly twining. when Yiqing Luo walked to the West Cliff Mountain. In an instant, she felt that even the sky seemed to have darkened. It made one's heart inexplicably surged with a sense of oppression. This dense forest was similar to the forest that she had seen previously. After stepping into the periphery, it was basically a row of ancient trees covering the sky and the sun. The lush branches and leaves covered everything. The only difference was, it was probably that this forest was more like a wild forest. There was a dangerous atmosphere in all directions, making one's heart turn cold. After Pei Sheng stepped into the West Cliff Mountain, the expression on his face became more and more grave. His hands that were hanging by his side clenched and clenched from time to time. Until they walked into the forest for a while, Yiqing Luo could vaguely see those layers of mountains not far away. Perhaps it was because the bloody mercenary group had already cleared the route along the way, so they didn't meet with any danger. Just that the deeper they walked, Yiqing Luo felt, the stronger the sense of crisis. Yiqing Luo's expression congealed slightly. The danger of the West Cliff Mountain. Your mercenary group should be clear about it. Under the circumstances of bringing Zishi along, you still managed to explore so deep? The three mercenaries who were walking in front had an ugly expression on their faces. We are here to complete a mission, not to play. Since the mission is dangerous, we shouldn't have agreed to bring Zishi along. Yiqing Luo's originally calm heart couldn't be controlled as it started to palpitate uneasily. The mercenary who had his right arm broken heard this. The pain in his arm and the girl's overbearing attitude made the suppressed anger in his heart surge. Who do you think you are? How dare you point your fingers in front of me? It was not because of Bloody that Miss Gu was trapped in Xi'an Mountain. It's because of you, this useless brother. He pointed angrily at Pei Sheng. Pei Sheng's face paled. Trapped in the West Cliff Mountain? For me? What do you mean by that? What happened to Zishi? The mercenary snorted coldly. To pick some essence gathering grass. They say that it can be paired with other herbs to strengthen your body. Pei Sheng's expression seemed as if it had frozen on his face, and it was completely pale. Now isn't the time to blame yourself. Yiqing Luo patted Pei Sheng's shoulder. Let's rush over to take a look first. Pei Sheng gritted his teeth and nodded with reddened eyes. The three mercenaries looked at Pei Sheng with hatred and disgust. But they didn't continue to speak as they quickly moved forward. Yiqing Luo had been paying attention to the mercenaries' reactions, and it was even more certain that Gu Zishi and the bloody mercenary group had some kind of close relationship. Otherwise, the second-ranked, gold-ranked mercenary group in the Earth Realm. Chapter 3563. Even if Gu Zishi had once saved the bloody mercenary group's leader, that wouldn't make the bloody mercenary group hate Pei Sheng just because Gu Zishi was in danger. Yiqing Luo concealed the deep meaning in her eyes as she followed behind them. Walking deeper, they walked for about half an instant's time. Yiqing Luo felt that not far ahead, there were quite a number of experts aura gathered. There were also figures floating and low voices of conversation. Someone heard the commotion over here and hurriedly went forward. Have you brought the person? That person was also dressed in the bloody mercenary group's uniform. His face was filled with worry. When he rushed over, his vision immediately fixed on Yiqing Luo. His face was filled with joy as he pounced towards Yiqing Luo. You are the D. Luo that Zishi mentioned, right? You can definitely save her, right? Yiqing Luo moved sideways, avoiding that person as she sized up the person in front of her. The man was about 20 years old, handsome, and his brows were filled with anxiety. Assistant Group Leader. A few mercenaries came up from the front. Group Leader is rushing us. That man who was addressed as Assistant Group Leader clenched his fists. Miss D, you must save Zishi. Yiqing Luo looked at the few mercenaries in front of her. Their faces were filled with anxiety and worry, especially the Assistant Group Leader. He was extremely worried about Gu Zishi. Obviously, this Assistant Group Leader's feelings towards Gu Zishi were not ordinary. Yiqing Luo subconsciously looked at Pei Sheng. Pei Sheng's body was trembling slightly as he quickly walked towards the direction where the mercenaries came from. The weeds and vines on the ground wrapped around his legs. He didn't feel anything as he forcefully pulled his legs closer to that side. Yiqing Luo's brows knitted even tighter as she chased up while asking the assistant group leader beside her what happened. Zishi said that she smelled the essence gathering grass and insisted on coming inside to pick the herbs. A group of us followed over to help. Speaking of this, the assistant group leader's expression turned ugly as he glanced at Pei Sheng's direction and retracted his gaze. When Zishi was picking the essence gathering grass, she alarmed the magical beasts in this area. The magical beasts' actions were too sudden, and before we had time to take action, Zishi was blown to the other side by the magical beast breath. I don't know if she stepped on something or if there's an array there. Zishi disappeared into thin air. Yiqing Luo looked towards the direction where the assistant group leader was pointing. Not far away, there were a few stalks of essence gathering grass growing under a few ancient trees. There were also many rare herbs of excellent quality mixed in. As an apothecary, he couldn't resist the temptation of medicinal herbs. It was no wonder that Gu Zishi wanted to pick these herbs. And further ahead, that was the direction Gu Zishi had been flung in, the direction the vice leader had said. It was still an ancient forest that covered the sky and the earth. There was nothing special about it. Only by going there personally would he know why Gu Zishi had disappeared into thin air. Why do you know to look for me? How can you be so sure that I can save Zishi? Yiqing Luo glanced sideways at the vice group leader as her half-squinted eyes flashed a ray of brilliance. Vice group leader didn't notice Yiqing Luo's gaze as he kept staring at the direction where Gu Zishi disappeared, his eyes filled with worry. After Zishi disappeared, we heard Zishi's voice shouting. Voice. Yiqing Luo frowned. Shout what? Chapter 3564. Yiqing Luo didn't respond immediately as her brows knitted even tighter. Seeing that Yiqing Luo didn't take any action, the vice leader was obviously anxious. Misty, Zishi kept calling her name before she disappeared. You must save her, right? The more he spoke, the more anxious he became. He stretched out his hand to grab Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes and moved her wrist to block the vice leader's outstretched hand. Zishi is my friend. I will try my best to save her. The vice leader was restless. I will go with you. I must confirm Zishi's safety. Yiqing Luo looked at him and shifted her gaze to the place where Gu Zishi disappeared. Gu Zishi disappeared into thin air. It was too strange. If she didn't remember wrongly, before Gu Zishi left treasure gathering, she was still at treasure gathering, having breakfast. But now, after she disappeared, she was able to accurately let the mercenaries run to the medical hall to look for her. How did Gu Zishi know that she would go to the medical hall? That person who asked for help, was it really Gu Zishi or someone else? If it was someone else, then what was the motive of the person behind it? There was a very uneasy feeling spreading in her heart. So uneasy that even the profound phoenix ring on her fingertip was emitting a scorching heat. Profound phoenix ring. There was a reaction. Yiqing Luo's eyes suddenly lit up as she quickly lowered her head and stroked the profound phoenix ring with her slender fingers. The profound phoenix ring was the only medium for her to contact Xian, as long as the distance was close. She could use the profound phoenix ring to form a reaction with the profound dragon ring on Xian's hand. There was a reaction. That meant she could sense Xian. Yiqing Luo's eyes stared at the flickering red light on the profound phoenix ring. She stared for a while. There was no special change on the surface of the profound phoenix ring. It was as if the scorching heat from before was just an illusion. She pursed her lips and couldn't hide the disappointment in her eyes. It seemed it was really an illusion because she was too uneasy. Misty? Misty? She heard a few calls. Yiqing Luo regained her senses and saw the vice leader frowning and looking at her unhappily. He even waved his hands in front of her face. At this time, they had already reached the place where the bloody mercenaries were standing. The bloody mercenary group had about 60 to 70 people. The most eye-catching person was a tall and slender woman who was surrounded in the middle of the crowd. The reason why the woman was so eye-catching was not only because of her unique temperament. There was also the greenish-black blood-red uniform that was different from everyone else's. The woman was dressed in a tan-colored, eye-catching attire. Red embroidery embroidered the outline of a blood-like flower. The woman's appearance was very elegant, like an orchid in an empty valley, exuding a pure beauty. However, the woman's eyes were firm and her gaze was like a torch. It made the woman's beautiful face look completely different, a powerful aura of arrogance that shook the heavens and shook the world. The two extremely contradictory temperaments fused together. But Yiqing Luo didn't feel out of place at all. On the contrary, he felt that this woman should be like this, leader of the bloody mercenary group. Yiqing Luo greeted the lady. The woman raised her eyebrows. Her torch-like eyes stared at Yiqing Luo. How did you know I am the group leader? Generally speaking, a mercenary group, unless it was a female mercenary group, otherwise, there would basically not be a situation where a woman became the leader. So if they didn't explain. Chapter 3565. Yiqing Luo was neither fast nor slow as she met the lady's gaze. I can tell that your aura is the most obvious here. Looks like I have to rein in my aura in future. The lady laughed lightly, but there wasn't any smile in between her brows. That's right. I'm the leader of blood color, Su Qingbing. You're indeed like what Zishi said, a rare talent. No wonder she was the leader of the second gold-ranked mercenary group. Every move she made was filled with oppressive might. Yiqing Luo's lips curled. Now isn't the time to be courteous. Leader Su must be very anxious. Of course. Su Qingbing's vision looked towards the direction where Gu Zishi disappeared. If I wasn't the leader of blood color, I would have followed up the moment Zishi disappeared. It's right not to follow her. Yiqing Luo could tell the sincerity in Su Qingbing's eyes. What she said wasn't just a polite greeting. Yiqing Luo could tell that the relationship between her and Gu Zishi was very deep. As a group leader, there are many things that you have no choice but to do. No matter what happens, your identity is first the leader, then the brother, then the companion. Yiqing Luo understood this point very well. If it was the time when she was in the World Mercenary Group, she would have made the same choice as Su Qingbing. It wasn't that she didn't care about Gu Zishi or her own brother, but the moment an unknown danger fell on them as the leader, as the backbone, the entire group's morale would be disrupted. The backbone absolutely couldn't have any accidents. Hearing Yiqing Luo's words, Su Qingbing's expression changed slightly. Are you also a group leader? No. Yiqing Luo shook her head and changed the topic. Did you send anyone over to check on the situation there? Su Qingbing didn't pursue further. Her worry towards Gu Zishi was greater than her curiosity towards Yiqing Luo. She replied, the magical beasts in this territory have been loitering around the surroundings. Once we make a move, there's a possibility of attracting the nearby magical beasts, and they will attack us together. I'm not sure what happened to Zishi, and if we act rashly, I'm afraid we might hurt her. Yiqing Luo nodded. I'll go over take a look first. You guys help to lure the magical beasts away after that. Don't act rashly. Wait here for me and Zishi to return. It didn't matter if Gu Zishi's sudden appearance was an accident or a trap. She had to bring Gu Zishi back personally. If it was a trap, then this trap was definitely targeted at her. Saying that, Yiqing Luo leapt upwards and skimmed towards the front. Just as he steadied himself, he sensed that someone was following him. She turned her head and saw Pei Sheng's pale face. I want to go too. Yiqing Luo didn't reject it, only saying, be careful, follow me closely, and speedily headed towards the direction where Gu Zishi disappeared to. Yiqing Luo's movements were extremely fast, but it still alarmed the magical beast. Su Qingbing and the others immediately tangled with the magical beasts, giving Yiqing Luo and Pei Sheng a chance to get close to them. The two of them approached the place where Gu Zishi disappeared. Yiqing Luo felt a gust of chilly wind blowing towards her. This is bad, lass. This is a formation. In his mind, Old Man Song's surprised voice resounded. Yiqing Luo's heart trembled. Formation? which means that Zishi disappeared into thin air because she fell into the formation. You can say that. Old Man Song was solemn. This aura is very strange. There's something strange about this formation. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips. Ah Sheng, it's very dangerous. Hold on tight to me. She stretched out her hand to grab Pei Sheng's arm. But before her hand could touch Pei Sheng, her 5 fingers grabbed empty air. Where was Pei Sheng's shadow behind her? Not only that, they were no longer surrounded by the lush forest from before. Even the blood mercenary group and the others had disappeared without a trace. Yiqing Luo frowned fiercely. This was the illusion of the formation or another space. The situation had become more dangerous. She couldn't find Gu Zishi and Pei Sheng had disappeared. She had to quickly decode the formation in this place. Based on Old Man Song's words, they had stayed here for too long. It would be extremely harmful to Gu Zishi and Pei Sheng. Yiqing Luo was preparing to sense the direction of the Yin Qi in the formation. Suddenly, a steady and powerful footstep was heard from behind. There was an extremely familiar scent lingering in his nostrils. Chapter 3566. Lil Luo. A familiar, gentle voice called out her name. That voice was gentle and gentle, as though the name that voice called out was that person's most pitiful name. In Yiqing Luo's pupils, it was reflected with that tall figure, like the scorching sun, using its scorching temperature to make all the fear and uneasiness in her heart completely dissipate. The man's face was peerless, and all the light in the void seemed to have gathered on him. His jet black hair fluttered, his purple robe billowed. The white fog which lingered in all directions surrounded him, floating in spirals. His entire person was indescribably elegant, indescribably evil. Yiqing Luo's heart almost jumped out from her throat. Her eyes stared at him, staring at him greedily. Lil Luo, The man opened his mouth. His voice was so gentle that water could be squeezed out. He slowly walked towards her. Yiqing Luo's petite body trembled slightly. Her feet were unable to move. Her slender fingers clenched tightly, as though she was suppressing the throbbing in her heart. Ah, Xian! A trembling voice spilled out from her pink lips. Her eyelashes fluttered violently. Her eyes almost turned red. The man in front of her wasn't DMO Xian. It's me. DMO Xian's peach blossom eyes congealed deeply on Yiqing Luo's face. Lil Luo, it's me. He walked towards her. His imposing figure was tall and straight, bringing along a unique sandalwood scent, which belonged to him. Yiqing Luo, however, took a step back. Her slender fingers were deeply embedded into her flesh. She pursed her lips hard, until her lips turned white. The man's footsteps, which was nearing her, stopped, as his eyes stared at her. As though he understood what she was thinking, he laughed. This is an illusion, but I am not an illusion. Yes. From a moment the man appeared. Yiqing Luo was certain that this man in front of her was an illusion in the illusion. It was an illusion through her inner heart. Try to make use of DMO Xian to confuse her heart. She didn't move, nor did she break the illusion in front of her, just because she missed DMO Xian very much, thinking that even though she knew this man in front of her was an illusion, she still wanted to see his face. Hearing him call her little Luo, after the man explained, the girl still did not have any reaction. He sighed helplessly and immediately raised his left hand, using the back of his hand to face Yiqing Luo. Lil Luo, in order to find you, I've spent quite a lot of effort. If you're unable to recognize me at first sight, I'll be very sad. On the man's left hand, there was a red jade ring, flowing with red light. Vaguely, a dragon head could be seen moving with the flowing light, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. The netherworld dragon ring. Yiqing Luo's eyes widened as she speedily raised her hand. As expected, the profound phoenix ring on her finger was also flashing with a red light. They were extremely agitated. It seemed to be communicating with the netherworld dragon ring. Only the appearance of the netherworld dragon ring could cause such a huge reaction from the netherworld phoenix ring. The person in front of them was really Ah Xian. The change in the profound phoenix ring that she had sensed outside the array was not an illusion. Now, can you prove my identity? DMO Xian chuckled, his charming peach blossom eyes raised, looking very elegant. Ah, Xian! Yiqing Luo bit her lower lip as her eyes turned even redder. DMO Xian opened up his arms. I'm very angry that you can't recognize me at first sight. How are you going to coax me? The moment his arms opened up, the young lady had already dashed into his arms. Both her hands were tightly wrapped around his waist. Chapter 35:67. Familiar body temperature. Familiar smell. Everything filled her nose. DMO Xian, who felt that he was so needed, gave a soft laugh. His head rested on the young lady's head. His strong arms wrapped her petite body tightly in his arms. A familiar warm kiss fell on her face. Yiqing Luo almost choked with sobs. Ah, Xian, I missed you so much. I missed you too. DMO Xian's lips finally fell on her lips. The gentle touch swept away all the haze in her heart. He forcefully hugged her tightly, as if he was afraid of being separated from her again. Yiqing Luo tiptoed, hooked her arms around his neck, and took the initiative to kiss him, until she was somewhat out of breath. The two of them then separated by some distance. Their foreheads touched each other's forehead. His eyes reflected the other party's face. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but laugh. We haven't seen each other for a few days, but it feels like we haven't seen each other for a few months. I feel that I really can't leave you. From the time she woke up in the Earth realm until today, it was only 3 days, but she felt that she hadn't seen DMO Xian for a very long time. Hearing Yiqing Luo's words, DMO Xian's expression suddenly congealed as he suddenly pressed her shoulders and pulled apart the distance between them. He lowered his eyes and stared at her with his burning black eyes. How many days? I've been looking for you for more than half a month. More than half a month. Yiqing Luo was stunned. I just arrived at Without Embroiling City. Today is the 3rd day. How could it be? She paused. Oh yes, I woke up 3 days ago near the city gate of Without Embroiling City. I was especially disheveled and unkempt. DMO Xian couldn't possibly lie to her. DMO Xian had been looking for her for half a month, which meant she had actually stayed in the Earth realm for more than half a month. Before she woke up 3 days ago, she might have been in a deep sleep all this while. This could also explain why she looked like she walked out of the beggar's sect when she woke up. Do you still remember where you were swept to in the Upper Realms passageway? DMO Xian's expression turned grave. Yiqing Luo shook her head. My memory is when I was in the passage to the Upper Realm, I was sucked away by a force and fainted. When I opened my eyes again, it was 3 days ago when a mysterious fairy of Without Embroiling City returned to the city. DMO Xian frowned slightly. Do you know who brought me to Without Embroiling City? When she had been in the passageway, she hadn't noticed what power had sucked her away. DMO Xian remained silent for a moment. It's the Nether Palace. Palace of Darkness. Yiqing Luo's pupils suddenly contracted. Why did the people from Palace of Darkness suck me away for? Logically speaking, I lost my way in the passageway, and should have been teleported to any other plane. However, when I opened my eyes, I was already in Without Embroiling City in the land. If it was someone from the Dark Palace, shouldn't they be trying their best to stop her from coming to the Earth Domain? Why did they send her to the Earth Domain? He even chose Without Embroiling City, which was the furthest away from Shadowless City. Most importantly, there were no signs of injury on her body. Her profound jade heart was still there. The sacred beast pearl in her body was still there. Nothing was missing. This wasn't the style of the Palace of Darkness. No matter how hard Yiqing Luo scratched her head, she couldn't think of a reason. DMO Xian was also unable to guess the motive of the Palace of Darkness's action. Chapter 35:68. Yiqing Luo raised her head in his arms. Her chin rested on his chest as she blinked. Are Kitty Cat and the rest with you? Amen. DMO Xian's kiss landed on her nausea again. Kitty Cat has been looking for you all this time and suffered a lot. Kitty Cat, that lass. Just thinking about it. Yiqing Luo could guess what kind of worrying things Kitty Cat would do to find her. She tightened her arms around Dmo Xian's waist. Ah, Xian, are you in Shadowless City? Why is it that after I reach the Earth Realm, the profound Phoenix Ring and your profound Dragon Ring are unable to sense each other? Aren't the profound Phoenix Ring and the profound Dragon Ring separated by a space or different planes, so they are unable to sense each other? We have indeed reached Shadowless City. I know that if you are still in the Earth Realm, you will definitely come to Shadowless City to look for me. Dmo Xian held her hand as his slender fingers gently caressed the profound Phoenix Ring on her fingertip. Logically speaking, the profound Phoenix Ring and profound Dragon Ring's connection should be able to sense each other even if they are separated by two cities. His fingers interlaced with hers and interlocked with hers. He continued, not only the profound Dragon Ring is unable to sense you, even the blood connection between you and Kitty Cat has no reaction. Yiqing Luo replied, right, I'm also unable to sense Kitty Cat. What is going on? Initially, I thought you were not in the Earth Realm. When Dmo Xian said this, his arms uncontrollably wrapped around Yiqing Luo. His strong arms and the masculine pheromones emanating from the man's body were proclaiming how lucky he was in his heart. Fortunate that he had finally found her. Did you think I had been swept into another plane? Yiqing Luo hugged him back. Yes, I almost barged into the Upper Realms passage. Dmo Xian's chin rubbed against her shoulder. Should I punish you for making me so worried? When he spoke, his breathing was very shallow, lightly sprinkled on her skin. Her cheeks were slightly flushed, and because of his words, her body was slightly hot. But her rationality had not been lost because of his seductive charm. She changed the topic. How did you know I was here? How did you come in? As soon as she finished speaking, Yi Zichen's eyes widened. Yiqing Luo could obviously feel the man's body tensing up in an instant, although it was only for a moment. But Yiqing Luo was certain that she had truly felt it. After tensing up for a moment, the man's body relaxed again, and his tone was very relaxed. I heard that a woman called Di Luo made a bet with the Empyrean lady of Without Embroiling City. She said that she would take out a treasure that would shock the entire Earth domain during Without Embroiling City's auction that is held once every 5 years. At this point, he paused. His voice was low, magnetic, and hoarse. When I heard the name Di Luo, I rushed over. He laughed. His laughter was clear and smooth, coupled with his magnetic husky voice. His voice was like a feather tickling her heart. Di Luo, is little Luo, so impatient to take her husband's surname? Yiqing Luo's face turned even redder. However, the more Dmo Xian spoke, the more relaxed he became. The more he teased her, the more he diverted her attention. If she hadn't noticed the man's tension just now, she would really be cheated by the current Dmo Xian. Chapter 3569. Ever since she stepped into the West Cliff Mountains formation, Yiqing Luo had an ominous premonition. She had always felt that this formation was a ruse from the start, a scheme to make use of Gu Zixi to lure her into the formation. If it wasn't for Gu Zixi, she wouldn't have appeared in the West Cliff Mountain, nor would she have stepped into this formation. If Dmo Xian only heard her name and came to Without Embroiling City, it was absolutely impossible for him to know that she was in the West Cliff Mountain. Thinking back to Dmo Xian's first reaction earlier, Dmo Xian could find her. I'm afraid it wasn't that simple. Yiqing Luo's expression suddenly turned solemn. She raised her hand and grabbed his lapel, then frowned. Ah, Xian, tell me, how did you find me? Her eyes locked onto him, saying word by word, I want to hear the truth. Dmo Xian looked at her deeply. Then he sighed helplessly. Little Luo, sometimes don't be so smart. Ah, Xian. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips, her slender brows knitted into a ball. I don't want you to get hurt because of me. Previously, when he went to the upper realm, he left a trace of consciousness in her pendant, protecting her. But in fact, he was injured in the upper realm, and then his consciousness was injured in order to protect her. I am with you because I like you. I love you. I want to be with you forever. Yiqing Luo looked at him closely. Her tone was very sincere. I don't want to increase your burden just because I am with you. I don't want you to get hurt every time because of me. Speaking of this, her voice was already choking a little. She wrapped her arms around Dmo Xian's neck and buried herself deeply in his arms. Ah, Xian, I don't want anything to happen to you, just like you don't want to see any accidents happen to me. We love each other the same way. The young lady's sincere confession. This was the young lady putting her softest part in front of him. His heart felt like there was a warm current spreading. Dmo Xian looked at her deeply. His eyes were burning like a raging fire. After some time, he seemed to admit defeat as he leaned against Yiqing Luo's slender body and sighed deeply. Lil Luo, I can't win you in words, nor can I escape your eyes. Because what I said makes sense. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips. So, in order to find me, what harm have you done to yourself? The flames on Dmo Xian's body instantly dissipated, and he looked at her pitifully as he spoke in a low voice. Then you can't be angry. Yiqing Luo, her heart softened at the sudden cuteness. What should she do? That was against the rules. The man in front of her had a face of peerless elegance and a pair of shimmering peach blossom eyes that were filled with a pitiful feeling of being wronged. Anyone who looked at him would feel heartache. It was like déjà vu of a little puppy. This was completely different from when Dmo Xian was poisoned by the love worm. The Dmo Xian at that time, although it still felt like a large, loyal dog. But at that time, he was like a blank piece of paper. Other than being cute, there was only being cute. But now, Dmo Xian's pitiful look, between his brows and that outstanding, imposing manner, there was a kind of mischievous aura. The two merged together. Yiqing Luo, nosebleed. The more she looked at him, the cuter he looked. What should she do? This man must have known that she had no immunity to his face, always intentionally using the seduction tactic on her. Chapter 3570. Yiqing Luo took a deep breath. I'm not angry. Really? Dmo Xian blinked his peach blossom eyes, vividly displaying his innocence. Yiqing Luo took another deep breath and clenched her fists. Really? Dmo Xian revealed a satisfied smile. That smile was as dazzling as the warm sunlight, making his peerlessly handsome face appear even more pure and clean. A pair of shimmering black eyes were like rippling water, extremely dazzling. Yiqing Luo couldn't bear it anymore. She raised her hands and covered Dmo Xian's face. Two small palms covered the man's mouth and eyes. Hurry up and tell me. I'll be angry if you don't. Yiqing Luo really felt that her overlord was developing more and more into a coquettish fox. From time to time, he would seduce her soul. He wouldn't stop until he saw that she was head over heels in love with him. If this evildoer was seen by others, wouldn't it shock the world? Dmo Xian didn't tease her anymore. His eyes were full of tender smiles, like ripples of spring water, unparalleled. He hugged the young lady tightly and spoke in a low voice. Calm down and listen to me. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips. Her face was full of displeasure. I'm very calm now. Dmo Xian caressed her fine black hair and immediately released her body as he took a step back. Yiqing Luo frowned. The man's temperature disappeared instantly. She felt inexplicably flustered. She wanted to reach out and grab him again. But halfway, she clenched her fists and retracted them. She pursed her lips hard and looked up at him, waiting for his answer. After taking 2 steps back, the man gave a low laugh. That laughter was filled with helplessness. He opened his arms. His purple robe fluttered without any wind, like rolling clouds floating dust. Yiqing Luo's hand on her chest clenched even tighter. A pair of charming eyes stared at Dmo Xian, not even daring to blink. Just at this moment, a gust of cold wind whistled past. The purple robe swayed with the wind. Swaying, Yiqing Luo discovered that Dmo Xian's body started to become transparent in the wind, as if he was going to disappear at any time, especially in this dangerous array formation that was filled with yin qi. Dmo Xian's figure turned transparent, as though he was about to merge into one with the array. Yi-Ching Luo's pupils suddenly widened. A layer of mist covered the bottom of her eyes. You're in a spirit body state now. Yes. The DMO, Shin in front of him, was exactly the same as Old Man Song. He was a spiritual body. He was actually a spiritual body. What was going on? I knew that if you knew about this, you would definitely be sad. Looking at the young lady's shocked, guilty, and pained expression, DMO, Shin sighed helplessly. He walked towards Yi-Ching Luo once again. Using this translucent spiritual body, he pulled her into his embrace. I didn't want to see you sad. That's why I didn't want to tell you. The body of the man in the spirit body state was no longer as warm as before. Instead, it carried a hint of coldness. His cold kiss landed on her forehead. I'd rather bear everything by myself than see you frown because of it. That kiss was like an icy spring, sliding down her forehead and into her body. As the kiss deepened, the man's body slowly solidified again. The temperature was also gradually rising. Chapter 3571. Yi-Ching Luo's heart twitched fiercely as she hugged him tightly. You fool, do you think I would want you to take risks for me? I will feel sorry for you. It will only make you feel worse. DMO Shin smiled and patted her head, his voice softened. I can't bear to let you worry about me, so I will not let anything happen to myself. Yi-Ching Luo suddenly buried her head into his arms and rubbed against his chest fiercely. This action made DMO Shin laugh out loud. Yi-Ching Luo raised her head. Her eyes were watery. Is what you said true? Nothing will happen to you? Yes, it's true. DMO Shin smiled and nodded. I used this method just to find out where you are. Yi-Ching Luo didn't respond, just looked at him deeply. The strength of her hands gradually increased. After a while, she raised her lips and revealed a smile. Yes, I believe you. DMO Shin smiled and raised his hand. His big palm pressed on her head and pressed her into his arms. At the moment when he pressed, the man's smile froze on his lips. His expression was somewhat dignified and cold. Only when he touched the young girl from the corner of his eyes, he could faintly see a trace of warmth. Of course, the man who was silent in his thoughts. He didn't notice that the moment the young girl was pressed into his arms, the smile on his face disappeared. Yi-Ching Luo lay in his arms, her eyes wide open. Her eyes were as black as thick ink. At a glance, she couldn't see the bottom. In her mind, Old Man Song's voice continued. Girl, DMO, Shin really went all out to find you. It's not as simple as what he said. Spiritual body is equivalent to the human soul. Extracting the soul from the body will cause great damage to the body, especially for a powerful person like DMO Shin. His soul power is very strong. To appear here in the form of a spiritual body, he must have consumed most of his profound energy. If DMO Shin's consciousness returns to his body, I'm afraid he will have to rest for a long time. From the moment DMO Shin said that he would not let anything happen to her, Old Man Song refuted DMO Shin's words in her consciousness. The more she listened, the sadder her heart became, especially listening to DMO Shin's clear and melodious laughter, gently comforting her. He didn't want to tell her. He didn't want her to worry. Then she would pretend that she did not know anything. If she really exposed DMO Shin in front of everyone, he was extremely worried. This would only make DMO Shin more uncomfortable. Yi-Ching Luo held back the moisture in her eyes and made herself more rational. Why must he take such a risk? Only in my spiritual form can I accurately sense your location through the profound phoenix ring. It's very likely that he appeared in the formation through the connection between the Netherworld Phoenix Ring and the Netherworld Dragon Ring. That's why he happened to meet you in the formation. Old Man Song sighed. There should be a forbidden spell placed on your body. Forbidden spell? Yi-Ching Luo frowned. Old Man Song's voice was grave. That forbidden spell has severed your connection with everything that can create a connection with you. Didn't you notice that from the moment you woke up to the moment you entered this array formation, the profound phoenix ring, you and the beastmen and felines were unable to establish a magnetic field? Sometimes I can't even sense what's happening to you in the outside world. Chapter 3572. Old Man Song remained silent for a moment. It has been like this for the past few days. I couldn't sense the magnetic field outside from time to time. Even when you were fighting without embroiling city's mysterious maiden, my senses were intermittent. He paused for a moment and continued. Earlier, the Overlord said, he had been searching for you for half a month, and my memory started from 3 days ago like you. Xian said that the person who made a move on me in the passageway was someone from the Dark Palace. Yiqing Luo's expression was gloomy. The forbidden spell on me was definitely done by the Dark Palace. Old Man Song said, after you and the Overlord met in this formation, the obstruction between you and me seemed to have reduced by a lot. Yiqing Luo asked, what is the motive of the Dark Palace to cast the forbidden spell on me? Everything that the Palace of Gloomy Darkness wanted was still with her. Could it be? The Dark Palace only wanted to cast the forbidden spell on her, so they made a move in the passageway? No, definitely not like this. If it was really the Dark Palace, after knowing that she had made a contract with the 4 sacred beast pearls as her lifeline, it would definitely devour the 4 sacred beast pearls' energy. No matter what, it couldn't be left for her. Just as Yiqing Luo was deep in thoughts, her earlobe suddenly hurt. She groaned in pain as she raised her head and stared at the initiator. But she met with a pair of incomparably bright eyes, like a blossoming peach forest. What are you thinking about? So lost in thought. The man's hoarse voice was filled with displeasure as he said that, and bit her earlobe again. A slight pain was felt from her earlobe, and it was accompanied by a numbing feeling, which spread throughout her body. Yiqing Luo's cheeks were dyed red by this evil action as she stared at him angrily. The next moment, the man's warm kiss extinguished all the anger in her eyes. His kiss landed on her eyes. It was mixed with the man's deep voice. Being with me, how can you be so lost in thought and still have the face to glare at me? Yiqing Luo's legs turned to jelly. She coughed lightly as her little hand clutched his clothes. No, nothing. She wanted to refute. She saw the man's faint smile. He continued decisively. I'm just thinking, where are you right now? How long will it take for you to find me after your spirit returns to your body? Or should I go look for you? Bring up this topic. The man's smiling eyes darkened for a moment. However, he still maintained a gentle smile on his face. Yiqing Luo knew. The man's mood was low because he hadn't figured out how to explain to her that he needed to recuperate after returning to his body. He had to recuperate in peace. The withdrawal of the spirit body was too harmful to the human body. Yiqing Luo pretended that she didn't notice his gloomy mood and continued to smile. I'll go look for you. I'll head over after I've settled the matter in without embroiling city. DMO Xian rubbed her head and didn't continue Yiqing Luo's words. Instead, he stretched out his hand, curled his slender fingers, and scraped the tip of her nose. Look at you. No matter where you go, you always make people worry. You've only woken up for 3 days, and you're already at odds with without embroiling city's mysterious maiden, and you've even been set up in such a sinister formation. Yiqing Luo held his hand. There are always unruly people who want to harm me. I'm also helpless. Chapter 3573. Soul-sucking. Yiqing Luo's eyes widened. How could there be such an array? The world is so big. Nothing is too strange. DMO Xian caressed her head. Although your willpower is strong, but if you encounter this kind of array, after a long time, you will eventually be unable to guard against it. Yiqing Luo's expression changed drastically. Oh no, if it's sucking souls, Zixi and Ashong. Ashong? DMO Xian narrowed his peach blossom eyes. The man who followed you in just now. You saw him. Yiqing Luo nodded. Do you know how he disappeared? How should I find him? Just as he finished his words, Yiqing Luo felt a chill down her spine. She shut her mouth and widened her eyes, staring at the direction where the chill came from. The man's lips curled up. His peach blossom eyes were like a deep pool, staring at her. His gaze was warm. His smile was warm. But inexplicably, Yiqing Luo felt her whole body trembling. Dmo Xian's broad palm covered her hair. His slender fingers fiddled with her hair bit by bit. He smiled, clear and moist, calling him so intimately. And earlier you even took the initiative to hold his hand? Looks like you care a lot about that man, called Ah Shang. His tone was calm and indifferent. His tone was calm and composed. But every word was like a thunder, exploding in Yiqing Luo's heart. Rub, 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 sounded the first-level alarm. The Overlord's vinegar jar was overturned again. Yiqing Luo's entire aura instantly weakened. Both her hands automatically wrapped around the man's neck. The delicate young lady's voice was as sweet as a silver bell. With such a dear husband like you, how can I put anyone else in my eyes? Where can I find such a perfect husband like Ah Xian in this world? So in my eyes, everyone else are just people with one mouth, one nose, and two eyes. People, just people. She deliberately emphasized the word people, indicating that everyone else were just people, cannon fodder that need not be taken seriously. However, the young lady's coquettish attitude didn't make the man's expression move at all. His peach blossom eyes were still curved. Mo Yao's dark eyes were so deep that no one could tell what he was thinking. For you to say so much for him, he must be very important, he said lightly, his voice a little cold. Yiqing Luo threw herself in his arms. I swear, I have no other feelings for you. Ah Shang cough, Pei Shang, Pei Shang. She called out Pei Shang's name a few times before continuing. Pei Shang has someone she likes. The reason I care about him is because there's a conflict of interest between us. If something happens to him and Zishi, I'll be in trouble in without embroiling city. The girl explained with a serious look in her eyes, causing the man to be unable to help but laugh. Yiqing Luo then reacted when she heard that unbearable laughter. You did it on purpose. Dmo Xian laughed, his chest vibrating. No, it would be weird if he wasn't. You are deliberately trying to trick me to coax you. Yiqing Luo was flustered. This man, when he became childish, she really had nothing to say. Dmo Xian laughed heartily. While laughing, he leaned over and whispered in her ear, I am jealous. His breath was very warm, spraying on her ear, making her involuntarily shrink back. Of course, I also want to hear you call me husband. If you call me a few more times, I won't be jealous. How about that? His next sentence successfully made Yiqing Luo blush. Chapter 3574. Dmo Xian looked at her hurriedly leaving figure as the smile in his eyes grew increasingly gentle. He watched for a while and followed up. The two of them walked side by side as they released their senses, paying attention to the surrounding movements. It was totally different from the lush forest in West Cliff Mountain. In front of them were layers upon layers of mountain ranges, undulating continuously. Inchi lingered around, and even the air was filled with an eerie chill. Large stretches of mountain range trapped a few of them in it. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian had passed through quite a number of mountain ranges and treacherous mountain paths. Along the way, the two of them didn't meet with any danger. But they didn't see any other living beings appearing. Not even the presence of living beings could be sensed. No response. She had no way to ascertain where Pei Sheng and Gu Zishi were in the array. Furthermore, as time went by, the influence of this array on Yiqing Luo became more and more obvious. It looked like the person who designed to lure her into this array wanted to make use of this array to suck her soul. Yiqing Luo stopped in her tracks as she pulled Dmo Xian to a clean cliff to rest. After this stretch of journey, she seemed to be walking aimlessly. But in actual fact, she had memorized the entire mountain path and terrain of the array in her mind. This array looked like it really wanted to trap her inside. Unless she could find the array, and break this array. Otherwise, it was impossible for her to find Pei Sheng and Gu Zishi, not to mention bringing them back safely. Lil Luo Dmo Xian looked at the young lady's increasingly pale face as his heart ached. I'll send you out. I'll save the two of them. Ah Xian. Yiqing Luo leaned into his arms as she raised her head slightly and shook her head at him. I want to save the both of them, but I can't bear to let you take the risk. Leaving you alone in such a dangerous and sinister array, I'm even more worried. Dmo Xian was now in a spiritual body state. To put it bluntly, a spiritual body was actually a soul. This array was used to suck a person's soul. Dmo Xian was in this array, and the damage he suffered was huge. If it wasn't for the fact that she was very clear that before she left the array, Dmo Xian would absolutely not leave. Otherwise, she would have asked Dmo Xian to leave the array long ago. Now it was even more impossible for Dmo Xian to look for Pei Sheng and Gu Zixi alone. Dmo Xian sighed helplessly as he gently stroked her hair. Their eyes met. At the same time, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. They were both the same. Neither of them could leave the other in danger and leave by themselves. Since that's the case, we can only forcefully break the array. Yi Qing Luo smiled. Who asked us to? Neither of us can leave each other. Dmo Xian smiled and nodded. What do you want to do? Yi Qing Luo's long and narrow eyes narrowed slightly as an undetectable glint flashed past her eyes. The array is dead, but people are alive. Dmo Xian saw through Yi Qing Luo's thoughts at one glance as he suppressed his voice and laughed softly. Looks like Lil Luo already has an idea. It can't be considered as having a solution. Yi Qing Luo's eyes curved into a crafty arc. The terrain of this formation had already formed a small map in her mind. The formation was oval in shape. The surrounding layers upon layers of undulating mountains, in Yi Qing Luo's mind, turned into round dots, using a thin line to connect all the round dots. Chapter 3575. Yi Qing Luo pondered for a long time in her mind. She couldn't tell what exactly that totem was. Any discovery? Dmo Xian could almost guess what Yi Qing Luo was thinking at the same time when he saw her expression. Yi Qing Luo told Dmo Xian about her discovery and said, I feel that this totem should be the key to the array. She paused, and suddenly her eyes lit up. Could it be that these mountains are the pillars of the array? If I destroy the connection point between the mountains and the array, will I be able to break this array? Looking at the smiling expression on the young lady's face, Dmo Xian's expression turned gentler. His slender fingers gently caressed the young lady's eyes. You can give it a try. When her eyes met with the man's gentle gaze, that trace of uncertainty in Yi Qing Luo's heart was completely smoothed out. In her eyes, there was a resolute expression. She could give it a try. This was the freedom that Xian gave her. Xian used her way to let her grow, because he understood her, so he wouldn't make the decision for her. He would also give her space to find her own way to solve it, using his way to tell her. Even if she failed, he was still around. Yi Qing Luo's brows were filled with a deep smile as she suddenly leaned forward and planted a kiss on the man's lips fiercely. After that, she quickly stood up and turned into a blazing red shadow as she headed towards the mountains in front. At the moment when the young lady left, no one noticed that Dmo Xian's body had turned transparent for a moment, but very quickly it congealed back into a solid body, as though earlier it was just an illusion. Only Dmo Xian's expression seemed to have understood a lot. Yi Qing Luo's figure stopped at the side of the cliff. Bending slightly, she could see the bottomless abyss below. With a slight movement, stones rolled down from the side of the cliff without making any sound. Yi Qing Luo confirmed her current position according to the topography in her mind. After that, from the side of the cliff down, she leapt. Her figure fell rapidly. The young lady's red dress fluttered like a butterfly's wings. Her ears were filled with the howling of the wind, scraping against her skin. Yi Qing Luo didn't release any profound energy to slow down her falling speed. Just like that, with a calm expression, he fell down without even a scream. The speed of his fall was extremely fast. In just a few breaths' time, Yi Qing Luo had already fallen halfway up the mountain. But at this moment, the girl's falling body suddenly flashed with a white light. A giant white tiger caught the girl firmly. Immediately after, the giant white tiger roared at the sky. The girl moved, and a red feather fan unfolded at her fingertips. She was like a cannonball being shot out, bringing with her a majestic and thick aura as she charged towards the waist of the mountain. Like a hot knife through butter. Just as the glower flame fan in Yi-Ching Luo's hands released a thick, profound energy and was about to strike over. Boom! A deafening explosion reverberated, causing Yi-Ching Luo's ears to buzz. Yi-Ching Luo only felt that her hand was numb from this surge of energy. Bang! Another extremely strong elastic force struck against Yi-Ching Luo's body. She was sent flying backward. Master! Chi-Chi immediately went up and caught Yi-Ching Luo. After Yi-Ching Luo sat on Chi-Chi's back, she heaved a sigh of relief and frowned as she looked ahead. In front of her, there was no change in the entire mountain. Chapter 3576. That's right. She unleashed all her profound energy and struck out, trying to break this mountain peak from the middle of the mountain. But it didn't affect the mountain peak at all. Earlier, Yi-Ching Luo clearly felt a strong rebounding force. All of her power was reflected back at her. The surrounding air was still reverberating with the aftershocks. Lil Luo, on the mountain peak, a purple shadow flashed past. But in a blink of an eye, it had already reached Yi-Ching Luo's side. He stretched out his hand and pulled the young lady into his arms. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine." Yi-Ching Luo shook her head in his arms. "Looks like my guess is right. All the mountain peaks here are the medium to link up the array. If it wasn't so, the mountain peak would absolutely not produce any rebounding force to avoid her attack." DMO Xian looked at the young lady in his arms, her slightly pale face as his eyes revealed an unspeakable heartache. "I took a look earlier. The array here is based on the position of the 5 elements and 8 trigrams. As long as we find which mountain peak is the array eye of this array, we will be able to break the array." Yi-Ching Luo frowned slightly. There are at least 100 over mountain peaks here. In these 100 over mountain peaks, to find the array eye, she couldn't just attack and probe the mountains one by one. This method, it would only make her energy deplete faster. The longer you stay in the array, the more damage it will cause to your body. Especially when you use your profound energy, it will only accelerate the absorption of your soul. Dimo Xian's expression congealed as he tightened his arms. From the man, Yi-Ching Luo felt a deep worry and concern. She stretched out her arms and circled around his waist. "I know, I can still hold on now. Don't worry, I won't bear to leave you." She raised her head and her chin rested on his chest. Her long and narrow eyes were curved, embellished with endless warmth. She smiled. "Until the last moment, there's still a sliver of hope. I don't want to give up so easily. I will use the 5 elements and 8 trigrams to deduce the direction of the array eye. If I really can't hold on any longer, I will tell you." Looking at the young lady's determined gaze, DMO Xian could only sigh helplessly. "Don't force yourself. I will be here." Yi-Ching Luo smiled at him. "As the Overlord's woman, there's nothing I can't do." DMO Xian's figure flashed as he leapt to the middle of the other mountain, his gaze fixed on Yi-Ching Luo without blinking. On the other side, Yi-Ching Luo straddled Chi-Chi's back as her eyes scanned the surroundings quickly. At the same time, he quickly filtered the simple totem in his mind according to the positions of the 5 elements and 8 trigrams. "Girl, this old man suddenly has an idea," Old Man Song suddenly said. Yi-Ching Luo opened her eyes. "What idea? Isn't this a soul-sucking formation?" The eye of the formation is definitely the place with the densest concentration of souls. Following Old Man Song's words, Yi-Ching Luo felt the azure dew bracelet start to scorch hot. Old Man Song said, "Girl, since someone has placed a forbidden spell on your body, sealing all of your senses to the outside world, then you can try, using the power of the azure dew bracelet to break this array." Yi-Ching Luo's eyes lit up. That's right. She now had a forbidden spell on her. Why not use the forbidden spell as an opportunity to try activating the azure dew bracelet's power? Previously, she had been worried that the azure dew bracelet would be discovered by the people from the upper realm. She had always concealed the azure dew bracelet well. But now, with the forbidden spell on her body. Chapter 3577. Outsiders wouldn't be able to detect the azure dew bracelet's presence. What I need to do? Yiqing Luo asked. If it's a soul-sucking formation, you can use your own spiritual sense to deal with it. Old Man Song paused and said, extract your consciousness into the azure dew bracelet and use the bracelet's power to sense it. After you use the 5 elements and 8 trigrams to eliminate the remaining mediums, mountain peaks, the place with the densest soul power will be the eye of the array. Speaking up to here, Old Man Song reminded, however, even if you have a forbidden spell, you still need to control it. Moreover, you better find the eye of the array within the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn. If you consume too much of your spiritual sense, your willpower will easily weaken, and your soul will be sucked away by the spell formation. Yiqing Luo nodded. She closed her eyes again and quickly eliminated the surrounding mediums. She injected her consciousness into the azure dew bracelet. When her consciousness entered the azure dew bracelet, Yiqing Luo only felt a scorching hot feeling in her heart. Her body swayed slightly. A streak of red light appeared from the azure dew bracelet. It meandered forward bit by bit. When Yiqing Luo opened her eyes again, she was shocked to find that everything in front of her was completely different from before. In front of her, the hundreds of mountain peaks surrounded by yin qi had all turned into black light balls emitting evil qi. Each light ball was covered with a thin layer of fluorescent light. This fluorescent light should be the protective cover of these mediums. It was the protective shield that had reflected her attack just now. Lass, these are the mediums of the array. Old Man Song explained. The mountain peaks you saw before were all a smokescreen to confuse your attention. Yiqing Luo had a feeling that she had activated her fiery golden eyes mode. She could see through all things in the world. To tell the truth, looking at these hundreds of light balls emitting black light, Yiqing Luo's heart was still somewhat apprehensive. But finding the place with the densest soul power in these light balls was much easier than finding the eye of the array among the hundreds of towering mountain peaks. Time was of the essence. Yiqing Luo didn't hesitate and quickly scanned through the areas that hadn't been eliminated. Through all kinds of calculations in her mind, Yiqing Luo's line of sight finally stopped at the most remote and inconspicuous place. Found it. She patted Chi-Chi and quickly headed in that direction. That was the formation's blind spot. It was also the safest place. The closer they got to that place, Yiqing Luo's senses became stronger. In fact, they could almost see that the eye of the black sphere of light was faintly discernible. As long as the formation was destroyed, he could destroy this formation. He could only save Pei Sheng and Gu Zixi. Yiqing Luo had just neared the eye of the array. The gourd flame fan in his hand had yet to release his Xian energy to destroy it. Suddenly, the formation eye orb flashed. That black demonic qi, which covered the light ball, directly charged towards Yiqing Luo's arm. Little girl, the eye of the formation wants to swallow you. Old Man Song reminded her in her mind. Yiqing Luo's brows creased slightly. Her attacking wrist suddenly flipped. The glower flame fan flipped and changed from attack mode to defense mode, blocking in front of her. Bang! The black evil energy collided violently with the devouring flame fan. A horrifying bouncing force sent Yiqing Luo and Chi-Chi flying out once again. Chapter 3578. The black evil Qi was still wantonly circling around. It looked at Yiqing Luo like a tiger watching its prey. Just one exchange of blows. Yiqing Luo could clearly feel her soul trembling inside her body. It was as if something was tearing at her soul. Was the array trying to forcefully use the array to suck her soul? Yiqing Luo's face turned pale from the tearing pain. Her pair of charming eyes stared at the black, evil Qi in front of her. The black balls of light from all directions shot toward the evil dragon one by one. When she saw this scene, Yiqing Luo's heart inexplicably started beating uneasily, as if something ominous was about to happen. Quick, you must break the array eye now. Otherwise, after the array eye fuses with all the other mediums, I'm afraid your soul will not be able to bear the burden. Old Man Song said loudly in shock, his tone full of panic. Yi Qing Luo frowned. This array actually had spiritual intelligence. It actually wanted to fuse with other array mediums to deal with her. It looked like the person who set up this array and lured her here had made up his mind to let her die in this array. Boom, 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 boom. Suddenly, a deafening explosion sound caused the entire array to tremble uncontrollably. She saw those hundreds of balls converging towards the evil Qi. The entire empty space presented a kind of dusky and oppressive feeling. Vaguely, something that looked like a dragon, but wasn't a dragon, gradually formed. The array eye's spirit. Old Man Tsang exclaimed in astonishment. Who set up this array? Even the array eye's spirit has been awakened. Array eye's spirit? Yi Qing Luo was very puzzled. Old Man Tsang explained simply. The array eye's spirit is equivalent to the artifact spirit of a divine relic. But if an array wants to form an array spirit, it is 100 times more difficult than a divine relic. In layman's terms, this array had already formed its own spirit. It had its own spiritual intelligence. Yi Qing Luo also learned something new. She didn't expect that the array could form an array spirit. Can the array spirit deal with it? Yi Qing Luo asked hurriedly. Old Man Tsang's tone was solemn. Before the array eye's spirit is completely formed, it must be destroyed. Otherwise, we'll all be trapped in the formation. In the sky, the shape that resembled a dragon, but was not a dragon, gradually became clearer. Yi Qing Luo clenched her glower flame fan tightly. I understand. She raised her eyes and met with Dmo Xian, who was looking at her worriedly not too far away. The man's face was cold, and his brows were tightly knitted together. His eyes were filled with worry. Looking at his tense body, it was as if he was suppressing his emotions that were about to rush forward. Yi Qing Luo's heart instantly felt warm. He was clearly worried about her. But in order to let her grow, he controlled his emotions. This was also his wholehearted trust in her strength. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled upwards and was just about to open her mouth to ask him to come over. Among the evil aura and the creatures that looked like dragons, but weren't dragons, a slender figure leaped out. That person wielded a long sword, and his sword momentum was swift and fierce as he charged over. The murderous aura was thick and extremely flamboyant. At the moment when the sword momentum approached, Yi Qing Luo quickly retreated backwards, evading the attack. She frowned. Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared in front of her, her expression congealed. Xiao Yulu, the woman in front of her, was dressed in a spotless white robe, and between her brows were full of malice and resentment. The woman didn't wear a veil, and that beautiful face was revealed just like that. From the expression of the woman's brows, Yi Qing Luo recognized the woman's identity at one glance. Chapter 3579. After meeting Dmo Xian, the veil on Yi Qing Luo's face was removed by him. The young lady's devastatingly beautiful eyes were flirtatious. The beauty pierced Xiao Yulu's eyes. Yi Qing Luo raised her head and looked at the dragon-like yet not dragon-like species in the sky as she frowned. Why are you here? Of course I'm here waiting for you. Waiting to end your life with my own hands. Xiao Yulu's face was malevolent as she bellowed venomously. Yi Qing Luo was astonished as her tone was filled with bewilderment. This array is set up by you? Xiao Yulu raised her chin as her eyes were filled with arrogance. Of course. Only you are so silly. You've only known someone for 2 days, and you're willing to take the risk for him. Hearing Xiao Yulu's reply, the doubt in Yi Qing Luo's eyes deepened. Xiao Yulu absolutely did not have the ability to set up such a sinister array. But looking at Xiao Yulu's complacent look, apparently, this matter had something to do with her. Someone was helping her behind the scenes. Who was the person who helped her? Why would they put in so much effort for such a small fry like her? One must know that this was the Earth realm and not Nirvana realm. Could it be? Because she had insulted mysterious fairy, it was Ling Long Palace's people who humiliated them. So Ling Long Palace put in so much effort to set up this array, in order to help their mysterious fairy, to slap their face? Yiqing Luo pursed her lips slightly as her gaze congealed as she stared at Xiao Yulu for some time before replying coldly. A person like you, of course, would not understand this feeling. I don't want to understand. I only want your life. Xiao Yulu laughed maniacally as the long sword in her hand flew up as she unleashed her sword strike towards Yiqing Luo. Xiao Yulu's sword strike was ferocious and filled with murderous intent. Each and every move was extremely ferocious. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but frown. Logically speaking, Xiao Yulu was already seriously injured yesterday, so it was impossible for her to have such a vigorous posture now. Furthermore, Xiao Yulu's ability seemed to have gotten stronger. Yiqing Luo evaded left and right as she barely avoided Xiao Yulu's attack. Her gaze kept sweeping across Xiao Yulu's body. Di Luo, this consort advises you to obediently surrender. Since you care so much about those two pieces of trash, I'm sure you don't want them to get hurt. After a few moves, Xiao Yulu realized that she couldn't even touch the corner of Yiqing Luo's clothes. The expression on his face became even more twisted. Yiqing Luo's expression changed. What did you do to Ah Sheng and Zishi? This is my array. What do you think I will do to them? Finally seeing Yiqing Luo's expression change, Xiao Yulu's heart instantly felt carefree. Yiqing Luo's charming eyes turned cold. Her cold gaze was treacherous and gloomy. If you dare to lay a hand on them, I can make sure that you can't be the mysterious maiden of without embroiling city. How arrogant! Xiao Yulu sneered disapprovingly. Who do you think you are? Do you think I can't see through your profound rank? You're just a tiny, profound sky practitioner, yet you dare to act so arrogantly in front of me? Xiao Yulu's dark force shook. The vast, profound energy was like a surging wave, surging violently. 5th grade Sage, Profound Realm. Sage Profound, 10th grade. Paragon, Profound, rank 15. Bang! The air shook violently. That berserk profound energy suddenly exploded. The light of the spirit profound level shrouded Xiao Yulu. Spirit profound. That was close to the god level. It could be called God. The violent airwave made Yiqing Luo's heart feel extremely uncomfortable. Chapter 3580. Di Luo, if it wasn't for my big brother's help, how many of my attacks could you have withstood? Looking at Yiqing Luo's pale face, Xiao Yulu sneered as her brows were filled with complacency. She pointed her sword at Yiqing Luo. Merely a stray dog. How dare you flaunt your prowess in front of me? Yiqing Luo mobilized the power of her profound jade heart to protect the meridians within her body. The power of the divine phoenix profound heart jade allowed her to breathe more easily. She frowned and stared at Xiao Yulu warily. He was astonished. If she didn't remember wrongly, Xiao Yulu's strength should be on par with Xiao Yinyan's when they fought earlier. Yesterday at the entrance of the Gathering Treasures, Xiao Yulu had attacked her without the slightest bit of mercy and had been filled with killing intent. However, Xiao Yulu's attack was easily blocked by Xiao Yinyan. She had heard the commoners discussing Xiao Yinyan's profound rank. He was at the 15th level of the Sage Profound Realm. He was a young genius who was about to step into the Spirit Xian realm and become a god. Even if Xiao Yinyan might have concealed his profound rank, it could only be said that he had already stepped into the early stages of the divine profound realm. No matter how high Xiao Yulu's profound rank was, he was definitely not better than Xiao Yinyan. But now, Xiao Yulu's attack and profound rank were obviously different from yesterday. This profound rank was so powerful that it made it hard for her to breathe. Although Yiqing Luo's current profound grade was only at the 9th grade of Sky Profound Realm, which was only one breakthrough opportunity away from Xian Profound Realm. However, her true strength was far beyond the profound rank of the Sky Profound Realm. Especially previously, the 2 opportunities for breakthrough had been suppressed by Dmo Xian within the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade. As long as her body was able to withstand the burden of the breakthrough, she could ascend to the Sage Profound Realm at any time. Of course, this didn't mean that the newbie who had just entered the Sage Profound Realm could match Xiao Yulu, who was at least at the 10th level of the Sage Profound realm. After all, after the Profound Sky realm, it was a difference of 1 grade. That was the difference between heaven and earth. It could only be said that Yi Qing Luo had the double protection of the Tranquil Bead and the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade. Facing Xiao Yulu's oppressive might, she wouldn't be affected as much as others. But the current Xiao Yulu was obviously not normal. The change in Xiao Yulu's profound rank was too obvious. Especially Xiao Yulu, who was carried away yesterday and was almost schemed against by City Lord Lu using his son, now looked completely fine. She seemed to have thought of something, and her long and narrow eyes narrowed. Suddenly, he looked in a certain direction and blinked. A trace of craftiness flashed across his eyes. She curled her lips into a mocking smile. Mysterious fairy, do you really think I'm that gullible? You think you can set up such a formation? Do you know what this formation is? When Xiao Yulu heard that, her expression changed drastically, as though her sore spot had been poked, as she gritted her teeth and stared at Yi Qing Luo. This array is set up by me. I am the Empyrean Fairy of Without Embroiling City. I can take your life with a flick of my finger. If this formation was really set up by you, you wouldn't have appeared here. Yi Qing Luo sneered as her lips twitched, as her eyes overflowed with ridicule. This array is a soul-absorbing array. Xiao Yulu's expression changed. His grip on the long sword tightened visibly. Chapter 35:81. Yi Qing Luo crossed her arms as she replied calmly. Looks like you're indeed not the one who set up this array. She raised her eyes slightly, and a hint of coldness could be seen from the corner of her eyes and the tip of her brows. Xiao Yulu tried her best to hold on. Stop trying to be mysterious over there. No matter what this array is, my only aim is to end you with my own hands. Following her sinister voice, every single word was spat out from her mouth. Her entire body's flame continued to rise. The powerful aura pressure was like a huge wave, as though it was going to swallow everything in the world. No. You've got something wrong. As long as we're sure that this array is not set up by you, then. Even if you die, it won't affect Ai Sheng and Zishi. Yi Qing Luo raised a finger. The expression on her face was light and indifferent. Let me die? Ha. This is the funniest joke I've ever heard. Xiao Yulu laughed out loudly. Di Luo, aren't you too confident in yourself? The confident person is you. Yi Qing Luo looked at her smilingly. Following that, she raised her hand and pointed behind Xiao Yulu. Who told you that I don't have any helpers? Almost instinctively, Xiao Yulu turned around to look. Not too far away, a tall figure was suspended in midair. His purple robe billowed like rolling clouds. Inchi lingered around, and she couldn't see the man's face clearly. But she could clearly see the man's peerless elegance behind the haze. Danger. This was Xiao Yulu's first reaction when she saw the man. Her face instantly turned deathly pale, just as she was about to move. Suddenly, a gust of wind attacked her from behind. Following that, a sharp blade was pressed against her throat. The young lady held a feather fan in her hand, and the dagger on the fan handle seemed as though it would slice Xiao Yulu's neck in the next moment. Xiao Yulu gritted her teeth. Despicable. Despicable? Yi Qing Luo laughed lightly. That doesn't exist. I'm just reminding you out of goodwill that I'm not fighting alone. Who knew that you'd be so dumb to even turn your back to me? She clicked her tongue as she leaned close to Xiao Yulu and gave a ridiculing smile. Yesterday you stood there and let me hit you. Today you stand there and let me kill you. Tell me, this mysterious maiden, why are you so dumb? Xiao Yulu wanted to struggle, but Yi Qing Luo used a little more strength. The sharp blade cut Xiao Yulu's neck. Thick blood oozed out from her neck. Xiao Yulu felt a stab of pain. Her face turned pale, and she didn't dare to move again. Yi Qing Luo held her tightly and immediately raised her head as her vision looked towards the horizon. Xiao Yulu had stirred things up. The figure that was originally faintly discernible on the horizon had become increasingly clear. The black ball of light was still lingering around the evil aura. Yi Qing Luo gauged with her eyes. There were about 20 black orbs left. The spirit of the formation core was about to completely fuse with it. Xiao Yulu was just a cover. It was just a tool to delay her from destroying the formation of the formation I spirit. Lass, there's no time left. Once the formation spirit I is completely formed, we'll really be trapped inside. Old Man Song reminded him anxiously. I know that you didn't let Dizun take action because you were worried that the array I spirit would devour Dizun's spiritual body. But in the current situation, if Dizun doesn't take action, none of us will be able to escape. Yiqing Luo's fingers, which were holding onto the glower flame fan, suddenly tightened. The sharp blade embedded a little deeper into Xiao Yulu's neck. Yiqing Luo's face was a little pale, the array I spirit. If it's really as powerful as you said, Xian is now in a spiritual body state, using a spiritual body to go against the array I spirit that was sucking souls. Chapter 3582. The Overlord is so powerful. Since he came to the spirit-devouring array with his spiritual body, it means that he has sufficient preparation. The Overlord will not do anything that he has no confidence in. Old Man Song said anxiously, if the Overlord is willing to take action, the array I will definitely be destroyed. Otherwise, if this drags on, when the array I spirit is completely formed, all of us will be trapped in the array. By then, our souls will be sucked by the array, and everyone will die. Yiqing Luo looked at the horizon, the species that looked like a dragon but not a dragon. It quickly merged with that black light ball. The evil aura became thicker. That species seemed to have opened its mouth wide, revealing its sharp fangs. It was as if it wanted to devour everything within the formation. Her fingers on Xiao Yulu's shoulder suddenly tightened. The sound of bones breaking was heard, as though Xiao Yulu's shoulder was about to be dislocated. Xiao Yulu screamed miserably. She wanted to struggle, but her skin was cut by the sharp blade on her neck once again. Shut up. Yiqing Luo gritted her teeth as she berated coldly. Her mind seemed to be in a mess, making her unable to sort it out and unable to calm down to consider things. You lass, if it was you, you would definitely choose to use your spiritual body to stop the formation of the array I spirit without any hesitation. How could Old Man Song not feel Yiqing Luo's inner struggle? He sighed helplessly, but when it concerns the Overlord, your straightforwardness and decisiveness will all disappear. But lass, you have to think clearly. The Overlord took the risk to come to the spirit-devouring array for you. Is it to die with you? Yiqing Luo's eyelashes trembled violently. Her pink lips pursed tightly as her vision looked towards the front, at the man who was quickly approaching her. Her heart felt as though there was something mercilessly tearing it apart. Lil Luo DMO Xian's long arm wrapped around her waist as he looked up at the horizon, at the species that had already formed. We can't stay here any longer. We must destroy the array immediately. Not knowing if it was an illusion, Yiqing Luo felt that DMO Xian's body was slightly cold. Was it an illusion because of uneasiness? Lass, now is the time. Let's work together with Venerable Sovereign to destroy the formation I. Old Man Song kept urging. Yiqing Luo's fingers clenched tightly as she shut her eyes tightly. Almost using all the energy in her body, she spat out the words, "All right, destroy the eye of the formation." Hearing Yiqing Luo's words, a smile surfaced on DMO Xian's face. He lowered his eyes, his peach blossom eyes gazing tenderly at the girl. He smiled. If you didn't say anything, I would have done it myself and helped you first. But you took the initiative to ask me, and that made me even happier. Yiqing Luo also wanted to laugh. The corners of his mouth twitched, but he couldn't smile no matter how hard he tried. Her eyes gradually reddened. She fixed her eyes on DMO Xian and said word by word, "Be careful. You must ensure your own safety. We can definitely break this formation, so nothing must happen to any of us." DMO Xian bent down and planted a kiss on her forehead. "Before I turn you into the real Imperial Madam, nothing will happen to me." As soon as he finished speaking, the man quickly flew towards the direction of the formation core spirit. When he went up against the formation core spirit, His purple long robe fluttered as it was blown by the demonic chi. His jet black hair fell on his shoulders as he bared his fangs and brandished his claws. His brows were icy cold as his thin lips curled up slightly. A bloodthirsty cold smile bloomed on his lips. Boom! Chapter 3583. The enormous and berserk profound energy instantly shook off the evil energy that lingered in the surroundings. The 10 light balls which had yet to merge with the array core spirit were also pushed back by this vast energy. Roar! In midair, the dragon-like creature suddenly moved. It let out a deafening beast roar. That beast roar turned into a wave in the air as it spread in all directions. DMO Xian's peach blossom eyes raised his hand as his slender fingers pointed forward lightly. The violent and strange profound energy spread wildly in all directions. It easily covered the beast's roar and the shockwave that came out of it. Xiao Yulu, who was being restrained by Yi Qing Luo, stared at the sky in horror at that godlike man. She could feel it clearly. That man just raised his hand slightly. The energy that was released from his body was majestic and vast. She absolutely believed, as long as the man's energy was aimed at her, she would absolutely have no chance to resist. Thinking of this, Xiao Yulu's face instantly turned pale. Who was this man? When did Without Embroiling City have such a powerful presence? When did Di Luo have such a powerful helper? Moreover, from the looks of Di Luo and that man's relationship, it was obviously not ordinary. Xiao Yulu gritted her teeth. Di Luo, are you lying, my brother? Xiao Yulu's sinister gaze stared fiercely at Yi Qing Luo's beautiful face, her eyes filled with jealousy. Just based on this face, she cheated her brother to be her escort. Now, based on this face, she cheated a powerful, mysterious man. A slut was a slut. Xiao Yulu vented her unwillingness in her heart. Hearing Xiao Yulu's voice, Yi Qing Luo took a deep breath and tried hard to adjust her own mentality. Xian was in battle. She couldn't just stand by and watch. She must strive to destroy the array core as soon as possible to break this barrier. She retracted her gaze and grabbed Xiao Yulu's collar. Where are Sheng and Zishi? Didn't you say that I wasn't the one who set up this formation? Why are you asking me then? Xiao Yulu's face was extremely pale as blood continued to seep out from her neck, but she was still putting up a brave front. Yi Qing Luo sneered. Are you going to speak or not? Xiao Yulu was just about to speak. He felt a chill on his neck. The sharp dagger moved up a little, moving closer to the skin of her chin. Xiao Yulu's face turned even paler, and she couldn't help but curse. I don't know. Oh, Yi Qing Luo replied indifferently. Immediately, the dagger slashed towards Xiao Yulu's neck. You don't know? Then go to hell. The strength of his fingertips was increasing. Fresh blood gushed out, and the smell of blood filled the air. Xiao Yulu's face turned even paler. His whole body was trembling slightly. Realizing that Yi Qing Luo really intended to kill her, Xiao Yulu's tone suddenly changed. Di Luo, you clearly already have a man you like. You even seduced my big brother. My big brother is willing to disown his own family for you. Are you going to kill my big brother's only sister? Xiao Yulu's voice was loud. It was as if he was intentionally shouting at the man who was still fighting with the spirit of the formation core. Hearing Xiao Yulu's words, Yi Qing Luo wanted to slap Xiao Yulu to death. Damn it, her Xian was someone who could overturn a vinegar jar anytime, no matter if what Xiao Yulu said was true or not. DMO Xian would absolutely carry on his jealousy till the end. He was already hard enough to coax. Now, it was even harder to coax. Chapter 3584. I am Big Brother's blood-related younger sister. How can those sluts born of concubines be Big Brother's younger sister? If you dare to kill me, my big brother will definitely not let you off. Xiao Yulu's voice trembled. Yi Qing Luo was paying attention to the battlefield while her peripheral vision glanced at Xiao Yulu. Oh, Xiao Yulu. How was she supposed to reply? Seeing the battle between DMO Xian and the Array's Eye Spirit, The array's eye spirit seemed to want to absorb Dmo Xian's soul every time it attacked. Yiqing Luo was extremely worried and didn't have the time to listen to Qiao Yulu's nonsense. Wait. Qiao Yulu sensed Yiqing Luo's murderous intent as her face instantly turned pale. I don't know where those two trash are locked in the array, but I can tell you who was the one who set up this array. In order to survive, Qiao Yulu was also trying her best. He decisively chose to betray his teammate. When Yiqing Luo heard that, her fingers paused as she squinted her eyes. Speak. This formation was obviously targeted at her. Yiqing Luo was initially guessing. Qiao Yulu had used her identity as the Empyrean Fairy to set up this array formation and sought help from some expert. Or perhaps it was related to the Linglong Palace. However, Qiao Yulu did not know that this was a soul-devouring formation that could absorb souls. This point made Yiqing Luo dispel this idea. Qiao Yulu wasn't targeting her. Who could it be? Setting up such a sinister formation behind her back to target her? This was the Earth Domain. She was just a nobody who had just arrived in the Earth Domain. Who would spend so much effort to use Qiao Yulu to deal with her? Unless the person behind her knew her true identity and was deliberately targeting her. Yiqing Luo's expression sunk slightly as the hand which was clutching Qiao Yulu's collar tightened. Tell me the details of what happened. If I tell you, you let me go. Qiao Yulu froze, not daring to move. Qiao Yulu's heart almost collapsed. She tried several times to escape from Di Luo's hands. However, he discovered that his strength was not enough to break free from Di Luo's bindings. What's more, once she showed signs of it, Di Luo would move closer to her neck without hesitation. Obviously, Di Luo, this bitch's Xian rank is not high. With her strength, she should be able to easily take Di Luo's life. Why was she completely suppressed and unable to resist? However, no matter how Qiao Yulu's heart collapsed and felt uneasy, none of them could change the current situation, especially after seeing the extraordinary strength of the purple-clothed man. She gave up the idea of resisting even more. She had just become the Empyrean Fairy of Without Embroiling City. She had yet to enjoy the glory and pleasure of being the Empyrean Fairy. She could not die like this. Yiqing Luo, don't talk nonsense. Do you know what kind of array formation this is? If you delay any longer, I won't even need to kill you. You will be devoured by this formation. Qiao Yulu's beautiful eyes flashed as she glanced at the purple-robed man who was fighting with a dragon-like creature. Until now, if Qiao Yulu still couldn't sense that something was wrong with the formation, she would be a fool. She stuttered. W-foot array? Why was it devoured? Yiqing Luo glanced at her coldly. Soul-devouring array, understand it. Soul-devouring? Qiao Yulu's face was filled with astonishment at these two words. Who on earth is the person who set up this array? What's his motive? Yiqing Luo couldn't be bothered to explain further as she interrogated her. Chapter 3585. Yiqing Luo. Black-robed man? Damn black-robed man again. Why was this black-robed man always causing trouble? What enmity did this black-robed man have with her? Always wearing a layer of black robe and doing all sorts of small tricks behind her back? When Yiqing Luo heard the three words black-robed man, she had an impulse to scratch the wall. This array has nothing to do with me. I didn't interfere in any of their plans. I only took a pill which they gave me, and according to the agreement, I came here to look for you. Qiao Yulu saw Yiqing Luo's expression was filled with rage as her voice started to tremble. Yiqing Luo frowned. What pill? I don't know. I only know that after I took the pill, the internal injury which I suffered yesterday had all recovered in. My body is filled with energy. Qiao Yulu's face was filled with unwillingness, but she could only clench her teeth and answer obediently. You dare to take it when you don't know? Your heart is really big. Yiqing Luo scoffed coldly, but in her heart, she could roughly guess that that pill was probably similar to the profound yin qi from the dark forces and the demonic qi from the Nether Palace. Yiqing Luo suddenly recalled that she was forcefully abducted by the Nether Palace in the Upper Realms passageway. Could it be those black-robed men who made use of Qiao Yulu to deal with her? were from the Nether Palace? This array was related to the Nether Palace? I've already said what I need to say. Let me go. Xiao Yulu saw Yi Qing Luo's expression becoming more and more grave as she immediately opened her mouth. Let you go? Yi Qing Luo tilted her head as she gave a chilly smile. I don't have any problem dealing with me. But you've implicated Gu Zishi, implicated my fiancé. You don't have any useful information at all. Do you think it's enough to buy your life? Xiao Yulu's face turned pale. Are you playing with me? Yi Qing Luo smiled, but didn't say a word. Xiao Yulu was at most a cannon fodder, a dispensable tool. The person who set up the array was probably worried that she would destroy the array eye. So he made use of Xiao Yulu to obstruct her in the array. That person probably didn't expect this. DMO Xian would appear within the soul-devouring tactic. She wasn't able to get any useful information from Xiao Yulu, so Yi Qing Luo didn't waste any more time on Xiao Yulu. Sensing Yi Qing Luo's intention, Xiao Yulu's face turned even paler. She stiffened her neck, trying to get away from the dagger, so close. But Yi Qing Luo's hand directly stuck onto it. Wait. Xiao Yulu was so shocked that she suddenly shouted, I heard their conversation. This can definitely be exchanged for my life. Talk. Yi Qing Luo raised her brows. What do you mean? Let go of me first. If you do this, I won't be able to focus. Xiao Yulu glanced at the dagger on her neck. Yi Qing Luo took a look at her and directly retracted her hand, but the other hand was still clutching her collar tightly. Speak. Xiao Yulu suppressed the urge to struggle and tried her best to relax Yi Qing Luo's emotions. I heard them talking about something regarding your soul. They said your spirit. Her words had just left her mouth. Suddenly, she heard DMO Xian's panicky growl. Lil Luo quickly avoided. Yi Qing Luo was stunned as she raised her head abruptly and looked towards the direction of the voice. She saw that species which looked like a dragon but wasn't a dragon, brandishing its fangs and brandishing its claws towards her. That species was emitting a dense, evil qi. Chapter 3586. Yi Qing Luo instinctively threw Xiao Yulu aside and swiftly retreated backwards. Just as she moved, her petite body crashed into a broad embrace. Her waist was held tightly by the man's arm. Are you all right? DMO Xian's gentle and worried voice rang beside her ear. The man's heart was beating extremely fast. She was leaning against his chest and could feel it very clearly. He was worried about her, which is why he was so nervous. Yi Qing Luo shook her head. You reminded me in time. I'm fine. She was fine. But Xiao Yulu, who was thrown aside by her earlier, wasn't that lucky. That dragon-like species, after losing Yi Qing Luo as its target, stared at DMO Xian, who had already protected Yi Qing Luo in a safe zone. It took a step back and opened its mouth to swallow Xiao Yulu in its evil qi. A miserable shriek was heard from the spreading evil qi. But in an instant, Xiao Yulu's voice stopped abruptly. Yi Qing Luo's expression congealed. Xiao Yulu she died just like that, because she had lost her value. So she became the array core's spirit's food? Or could it be because Xiao Yulu had said something which she couldn't know? Which meant that Xiao Yulu had heard those black-robed men's words. What soul? Her soul? Those people set up the soul-devouring array. It was for her soul. Be careful. The array core's medium is about to finish merging, and the array core's spirit is about to awaken. DMO Xian hugged her slender waist tightly as he reminded her in a deep voice. Yi Qing Luo looked at the horizon, at the array core's spirit, which had already taken shape and was lacking a few more black light balls before it would completely awaken. She subconsciously grabbed DMO Xian's sleeve tightly. No, she felt that it wasn't that simple. If the array core's spirit is awakened, we'll be trapped inside. Yi Qing Luo's expression was grave. Xian, there's still. For more black light balls before those 4 light balls merge, we have to think of a way. MN, DMO Xian responded. His voice was very soft, without any excess emotions. But Yi Qing Luo's sharp senses detected something. She suddenly raised her head as her eyes stared intently at DMO Xian's face. Xian, Are you feeling unwell anywhere? It was an illusion. Xian wrapped his arms around her body. It was still warm and comforting. However, his heart was beating faster and faster. Even his breathing was different from usual. Just now, he only spat out a single word. Yiqing Luo could clearly tell that this word was slightly trembling. Yiqing Luo's heart thumped fiercely. Xian, if you're not feeling well, don't force yourself. This is the soul-devouring array formation. The consumption on your spirit body is too great. DMO, Xian tightened his arms and pushed her head into his arms. His voice was deep and sexy. You're thinking too much. I'm fine. However, his hand did not exert any force. However, he was suddenly pressed down by the young girl. Shortly after, the young girl's little head popped out from his chest. When she looked up, she saw the man's pale face. It seems that a venerable sovereign in the form of a spiritual body still has some difficulties in the soul-devouring formation. Old Man Sung helplessly sighed. If this old man hadn't just cultivated a physical body, this old man would also want to rush out and help you guys right now. This was the soul-devouring formation. Not only did it restrain DMO Xian, it also restrained Old Man Song. Yiqing Luo looked at the ugly expression on DMO Xian's face as her eyes turned red. Chapter 35:87. As a normal person, her body was unable to withstand the soul-devouring array. Not to mention Xian in his spiritual form. Otherwise, Xian could deal with the formation I spirit. DMO Xian looked at the young lady in his arms, and his eyes were filled with tears as he was about to open his mouth to comfort her. However, the girl's finger pressed against his lips. Don't speak. I don't want to hear your explanation. DMO Xian sighed helplessly, but didn't say another word. Yiqing Luo hugged DMO Xian tightly. Xian, leave the soul-devouring formation first. The hand on his waist suddenly tightened. Do you think I can leave? But if you continue to stay here, you will only consume more of your soul. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips. Xian, if something happens to you because of this, what do you want me to do? I'm fine. DMO Xian's slender fingers clasped her lower jaw. He lowered his head, and the man's hot breath sprayed on her face. His bright peach blossom eyes stared deeply into her eyes. He said each word firmly. Lil Luo I cannot leave at this time. Yiqing Luo furrowed her brows anxiously, but she knew very well that it was impossible for her to persuade DMO Xian. Looking at the man's increasingly pale face, then looking at the spirit of the formation core that was about to take shape, suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind. Xian, release the seal that you sealed in my body and suppressed my profound strength. Previously, when they fought against the palace of gloomy darkness, she almost broke through, and then she contracted the black tortoise, sharing their energy. She was about to break through again. It was sealed in the profound heart jade by DMO Xian. With her current strength, she was not a match for the formation core spirit. No way. DMO Xian rejected without thinking. This is too dangerous. You're in danger too. Yiqing Luo clenched her fists. Xian, you should believe in my willpower. I can even withstand the power of 2 divine weapons. These are all my own power. I can definitely withstand it. He didn't answer. He just pursed his lips and frowned. Boom! On the horizon, a hurricane began to rise. The last 2 balls of light surrounded something that looked like a dragon, but wasn't. Boom, boom, boom. The evil aura continued to spread, causing the earth to shake and the mountains to shake as if it would collapse at any moment. The species that looked like a dragon, but wasn't a dragon, stirred up clouds and rain in the dark sky. It's too late. Xian, we don't have time to consider. Yiqing Luo looked at DMO Xian anxiously. DMO Xian still did not speak. Yiqing Luo was anxious and wanted to continue persuading. Old Man Song's voice interrupted her. Venerable Sovereign, why are you acting like a fool? With the girl's current body, even with the heart-calming pearl suppressing the profound heart jade, it is indeed unable to withstand power above the sage, profound level. Otherwise, it is very easy for her to suffer the backlash of the Divine Phoenix profound heart jade. I am very clear on this point. He paused and continued. But you can use your profound energy to transfer into her body to protect her heart meridians. When DMO Xian heard that, his face revealed a hesitant expression. But, not waiting for DMO Xian to speak, Yiqing Luo's expression was grave as she asked, if Xian were to transfer his energy into my body, what kind of effect would it cause to him? This old man Song was stunned. Apparently, he hadn't thought of this question. Yiqing Luo held DMO Xian's palm tightly and intertwined her fingers with his. The spirit-devouring array has already caused great damage to Xian's spiritual body. If he were to transfer his energy to me, how would he be able to withstand it? Chapter 3588. Lil Luo. DMO Xian pondered for a long time and called out her name in a hoarse voice. Looking at the man's pale face, Yiqing Luo's heart was in extreme pain. She wanted to destroy this array. At least the spirit-devourer array would not affect DMO Xian at all. But the thought that DMO Xian had already depleted his own energy and still had to transfer the profound energy to protect her heart meridians. DMO Xian's body might not be able to take it. She couldn't take the risk. She couldn't use DMO Xian to block the array without any assurance. Lil Luo, listen to me. DMO Xian held the young lady's hand tightly as his burning eyes stared at her. To tell the truth, I'm not at ease to let you deal with the array core spirit alone, releasing the profound energy that was sealed in Yiqing Luo's body, then using his energy to protect Yiqing Luo's heart meridians, to prevent the energy from overloading and causing a backlash. This also indicated Yiqing Luo was going to face the array core spirit alone. Xian. Yiqing Luo's pink lips trembled as her eyes turned red. Have the both of you finished discussing? There's no more time. Hurry up and decide. Old Man Song was also anxious like an ant on a hot pan. What love? It was too troublesome, too troublesome. Look at how decisive his lass was. Just for a man, what had she become? Old Man Song expressed incomparable disgust. Hearing Old Man Song's urging, Yiqing Luo's heart was getting more and more anxious. The man suddenly raised his hand and placed his large palm on her face. The warm palm was filled with an elegant sandalwood scent. It easily soothed the restlessness in her heart. The man smiled at her. His smile was gentle as his eyes overflowed with tenderness. Lil Luo, I believe you can do it. Yiqing Luo's heart trembled fiercely. He believed her. He had always believed in her. So he gave her the freedom to grow. So he suppressed his belly full of worries and stood by the side, watching her fall and climb up. In fact, his heart was even more uncomfortable than hers. But it was because he believed in her. He suppressed all the worries and impulses, resisting the urge to treat her like a canary, protecting her in the crook of his arms, giving her the freedom. He believed her. She should trust him too. Yiqing Luo's heart had become unprecedentedly firm. She forcefully closed her eyes. I know. Xian, with your strength by my side, I can definitely do it. DMO Xian smiled even more gently. The next moment, the man's wrist moved and suddenly pushed Yiqing Luo's body. Then, a palm landed on her back. Boom! Yiqing Luo suddenly felt a huge buzzing sound in her head. Shortly after, he felt a boundless and terrifying aura explode within his body. The dark force that was slowly pouring in was extremely turbulent. It was as if her meridians were about to burst. It was a little stifling and painful, but Yiqing Luo could clearly feel it. The continuous influx of energy had actually slowed down a lot. That unending stream of profound energy spread throughout her limbs and bones. It enveloped her internal organs, her heart and meridians at the same time. Her heart was abruptly engulfed by a raging inferno, enveloping her heart. In a split second, she felt as if a volcano was erupting, constantly exploding in her head. His chest was swollen. She furrowed her brows in pain, but she bit her lower lip tightly to stop the cries of pain. This was the sealed energy. Chapter 3589. Following that feeling of swelling to the point of almost exploding, it started to spread from her heart arteries. Yiqing Luo only felt as if something was ruthlessly tearing her limbs apart. The vigorous and overbearing profound qi was almost about to burst her body. Like a raging storm, it was surging in her heart. Boom! Another burst of sound rang in Yiqing Luo's mind. Yiqing Luo's entire body was shrouded in a layer of faint red glow, like a lit candle flame swaying gently. Yiqing Luo finally understood why Dmo Xian sealed her power into the divine phoenix profound jade heart. This body of hers, indeed, could not support the profound grade of the sage realm. It was only accepting the profound qi released from her body. She was already in so much pain that she wanted to scream out loud. She couldn't imagine if Dmo Xian did not transfer his power into her body to protect her heart arteries, what would the consequences be? Yiqing Luo's brows tightly knitted into a ball. Her body was still trembling slightly. Her slender fingers clenched into a fist, suppressing the pain on her body. Not willing to cry out and let Dmo Xian worry. Lass, revolve the profound jade heart. Use the profound jade heart to absorb the profound qi in your body. In her mind, Old Man Song's reminder sounded. Yiqing Luo tried hard to maintain consciousness, gathering the profound qi in her body to linger around the profound jade heart. Her aura was constantly rising. Dmo Xian slowly retracted his hand and took a step back. He looked deeply at the young lady's black hair flying, her whole body covered in cold sweat, her face full of pain but enduring silently, his gaze concentrated, not blinking for a moment. For the man's tense body, and that focused gaze, and obviously unable to stand steadily, but all his thoughts were placed on a young lady. And so on these actions, he could totally see Dmo Xian's worry and nervousness towards Yiqing Luo. This was a nervousness that Dmo Xian had never felt before. Even he himself, facing a dead end, had never felt this way. The moment Dmo Xian retracted his palm, Yiqing Luo only felt her whole body tremble. Something in her mind suddenly buzzed and exploded. Immediately, the profound qi in her body, like waves, began to collide chaotically. She felt extremely uncomfortable being squeezed. Girl, you have to do it. Even if Venerable Sovereign doesn't help you control and guide the dark force in your body, you can still run the dark force in your body flexibly. This is growth. Old Man Song kept reminding Yiqing Luo by her ear and also preventing her from fainting due to the pain. Yiqing Luo had been suppressing the discomfort in her body. According to the method that Old Man Song had provided, he used his profound heart jade bit by bit to try and control the profound energy. Bit by bit, dong, a slight sound was emitted from Yiqing Luo's body. Immediately after, the red glow surrounding Yiqing Luo suddenly exploded. Breakthrough, the sage profound realm. Boom, boom, boom. Following that, Yiqing Luo's aura continued to explode. At this moment, it was as if she had been washed and cleansed by holy water. It was like the tender grass that had just sprouted. His entire body was filled with the power of new life. Swoosh! As Yiqing Luo abruptly opened her eyes, a sharp cold light shot out from her eyes. The energy in his body also shook violently. Little Luo, how do you feel? Dmo Xian's eyes stared intently at Yiqing Luo, paying attention to her emotions, and where she felt uncomfortable, his gaze was focused and serious. Chapter 3590. Dmo Xian's eyes were gentle as his thin lips curled up, revealing a smile. I know, you're the best. Chi-Chi, help me take care of Xian. I'll be right back. Yiqing Luo looked at Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi roared and rushed towards Dmo Xian. Yiqing Luo gave a bright smile at Dmo Xian and moved towards the horizon, towards that dragon-like species, rapidly approaching. During this period of time, when she was unsealed by Dmo Xian in the divine phoenix profound heart jade, it seemed like a long time had passed. In fact, it was only a few minutes. On the horizon, there was only one medium left for the black ball of light. That one had already merged with the dragon-like species, almost halfway. As long as the last medium merges with the array I spirit, the power of the array I spirit will be awakened. The power of the devouring spirit array will also be unleashed to the extreme. The soul in your body and the Overlord's spiritual body will be forcibly extracted and absorbed by it. Old Man Song said anxiously. Yiqing Luo's fingertips moved. The glower flame fan in her hand opened up. A burst of profound energy shot out from the glower flame fan, turning into an arc-shaped sharp blade. Bam! That sharp blade directly cut the black ball of light and the fusion of the array I spirit. The two collided, giving off a sound of air splitting. But the sharp blade did not stop the black ball of light and the array I spirit from fusing. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed, raising her profound energy. The glower flame fan flashed left and right again. One after another sharp blade, like a celestial maiden scattering flowers, shot out. At the same time, Yiqing Luo's figure quickly approached the array I spirit. Roar! The spirit at the core of the formation suddenly opened its mouth and let out a furious roar. That strange head, which had already formed, twisted towards Yiqing Luo. That jet-black eyes, completely unable to see any emotion, was so treacherous that it made one afraid. The array I spirit's huge black beast eyes stared deadly at Yiqing Luo, as if it wanted to swallow Yiqing Luo alive. When the formation I spirit turned its head around, the formation I spirit Yiqing Luo completely, clearly saw the face of that huge creature. It looked like a dragon, but it wasn't. Indeed, it was very long like a dragon. But the most surprising thing was, this species that resembled a dragon, but was not a dragon, had no neck. Below the head was an extremely fat body. It was a little like a camel's body, high and low. Behind his body was a dragon's tail. There was also a pair of wings that seemed to be condensed from black gas on its body. It flapped its wings from time to time. The black evil aura floated up and down. Yiqing Luo noticed that there was a huge black horn on the array's I spirit's head. The horn was very sharp, and there was even a black glow flickering around it. Yiqing Luo totally couldn't tell what kind of breed this monster was. When that strange and terrifying head faced Yiqing Luo, it opened its bloody mouth. It spat out a mouthful of dense black, evil energy. That black, evil aura exuded a bone-chilling aura that made one's hair stand on end. It seemed to be able to stir the hearts of people with weak willpower. Yiqing Luo looked at the incoming demonic qi, but didn't evade it. Instead, he moved his fingertips. The glowing flame fan in his hand spun rapidly in his palm. The profound energy increased exponentially along with the speed of the rotation. Immediately following that, she saw a whirlwind shooting out from the glowing flame fan. At the same time, Yiqing Luo's figure speedily charged towards the black evil aura which was pressing towards her. Bam! Chapter 3591. The wind howled as it fluttered. The tornado was shrouded in a huge energy. It swept all the black evil qi into the wind. Following that, it followed the pressure of the tornado and forced its way towards the array core spirit. The sky full of profound energy intertwined with that black evil qi. Bam! A deafening explosion was heard. The raging tornado fiercely hit the last black light ball, which was about to merge into the array core spirit. That black light ball, under the strong pressure, still persevered and trembled a few times. In the end, it couldn't resist the pressure of the two forces. It instantly exploded. The black light ball exploded. It was like a black rain of light falling on the ground. Well done! Old Man Song couldn't help but applaud. The last array medium has been destroyed. The array core spirit's power can't be recovered. We still have a chance to destroy the array. Yiqing Luo panted lightly, half squinted her eyes, staring at the array core spirit, which was furious because the light ball had exploded. Roar! The array core spirit seemed to be infuriated as it raised its neck and roared crazily. Following that, a pair of huge black beast eyes stared deadly at Yiqing Luo. Roar, roar. It was still baring its fangs and roaring. Old Man Song immediately said, "Lass, quick! Now is the time." Yiqing Luo's body had already made an instinctive action. She stomped on the ground with both legs and leaped into the air, quickly attacking the spirit of the formation eye. The profound energy which lingered around her suddenly exploded. Bursts of profound energy were like waves surging. Yiqing Luo's feet flashed a few times. Her red robe was like fire, coupled with a glower flame fan on her fingertips. It was like a blazing flame, but also like rolling blood pouring onto the ground. It made her entire person red, like the god of death had descended. And when Yiqing Luo neared the array core spirit, that array core spirit suddenly let out an earth-shattering roar. Then it opened its mouth, spitting out countless of evil black evil chi. That evil chi completely wrapped the young lady's petite body in it. Leaning on Chi-Chi's back, DMO Xian, who was staring intently at this scene, clenched his fists tightly. Veins popped up on his forehead. However, he had been suppressing the impulse in his heart. "Lil Luo, I believe in you. You must not disappoint me," he muttered to himself. It was as if he was talking to Mu Chi-Chi. At the same time, he seemed to be convincing himself not to rush forward recklessly. And at this moment, Yiqing Luo, who was enveloped by the evil chi, he felt a chill down his spine. It was as if cold air had entered her body, and a wave of coldness was eroding her. What made her most uncomfortable was that cold, evil aura seemed to want to penetrate through her skin and into her body. Yiqing Luo could even feel that her soul was being forcefully pulled by a gush of energy. Was this soul devouring array planning to forcefully devour her soul? Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes slightly, but the movements of her hands were not affected by these obstacles. The glowing flame fan was like a sharp blade, turning into countless streams of air, cutting the body of the formation core spirit in all directions. The formation eye spirit was the medium that fused with the formation and formed the formation spirit. It could also be said to be illusory, but when Yiqing Luo released countless airflow, enveloping the array's eye spirit, Yiqing Luo saw it clearly. The outer layer of the array's eye spirit started to turn into a spinning top, bit by bit. Roar! It seemed as though it had not expected Yiqing Luo to be so barbaric. The array core spirit howled in pain. Its huge body kept on struggling and trembling. Yiqing Luo heaved a sigh of relief and was about to directly settle the array core spirit. Chapter 3592. The dense evil chi overflowed from the body, which had been sliced into pieces. Like a lump of thick ink, it dyed everything. Yiqing Luo could even smell that sinister evil chi in the air. That split into pieces of evil chi covered the sky and earth as it enveloped Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo frowned as an ominous premonition arose in her heart. The instant that evil chi enveloped her, she turned sideways and swiftly leapt to the other side. The evil chi landed heavily on the place where Yiqing Luo was standing at earlier with a bam sound. The ground was instantly blasted into pieces. The tyrannical, profound energy and the energy waves were like turbulent waves. Even though Yiqing Luo had avoided this strike from the evil chi. However, this evil aura was simply too domineering. Yiqing Luo was forced to stagger backwards by 2 steps. The evil chi, which was split by the array core spirit, didn't stop because of this as it once again surged towards Yiqing Luo's direction. This stance, Yiqing Luo finally understood. This so-called soul-devouring formation and the awakening of the array core spirit. It was all a pretense. His main objective was to obtain her soul, to devour her soul. So no matter how she destroyed the array core spirit, the evil chi, which lingered on the soul-devouring formation, would try its best to devour her. Just like now, this ball of evil chi, which was overflowing from the array core spirit, was like a weaved huge net, trapping Yi-Ching Luo in it, with no way to escape. No way. This soul-devouring formation's array spirit was still lacking a medium to fuse with before it could completely awaken. But the current array spirit had already reached a stage of power. It was even invulnerable. Wherever it was injured, that place would overflow with evil qi, chasing after Yi-Ching Luo relentlessly. If this carried on, not only would Yi-Ching Luo's physical strength be depleted, it would also cause more and more evil qi to overflow, causing damage to her soul. This feeling of having one's soul being pulled by someone was really unpleasant. Yi-Ching Luo squinted her eyes. She must quickly settle this array spirit. Suddenly, Yi-Ching Luo thought of something as her eyes shone with a glint. She shot a glance at the ink, which was still chasing after her ferociously. Her lips suddenly curled into an evil smile. "Shiju, come out for a moment." As soon as her voice fell, a giant black leopard appeared out of thin air. The black giant leopard had sharp fangs, but the most eye-catching part was the two long dragon horns on its head. It roared at her as its huge body blocked in front of Yi-Ching Luo. Perhaps it was because Shiju had the bloodline of the dragon race. This roar, it stunned the formation spirit for a moment. "What do you want?" Azure Dragon's voice came from the pet space. Its tone was full of worry. Yi-Ching Luo rubbed Shiju's head and didn't reply Azure Dragon's question directly, but asked Shiju, "Now that your dragon race bloodline has awakened, is there any other abnormalities in your body?" Shiju obediently shook its head. Yi-Ching Luo nodded satisfactorily. "I need your help." Shiju tilted its head. "What does Master want me to do?" Shiju has just passed the evolution period and has yet to experience actual combat. The soul-devouring formation not only affects the souls of humans, it also affects the souls of magical beasts. "What exactly do you want Shiju to do?" Azure Dragon was anxious. He wanted to come out of the pet space several times. Yi-Ching Luo had sealed it in the space. Chapter 3593. Yi-Ching Luo still didn't answer Azure Dragon directly. Instead, he bent down slightly and caressed Shiju's head. "Shiju, do you want to return to the space or fight with me?" Shiju practically didn't hesitate, its leopard eyes resolute. "I want to fight together with Master. This is my first battle after evolving. I want to fight to the end." Yi-Ching Luo smiled as she rubbed its huge head. Then, in his heart, he said to the Azure Dragon, "Did you hear that? This is Shiju's answer. It's still young. It can't resist the spirit-devouring formation." Hearing his son's words, Azure Dragon was both proud and worried. Yi-Ching Luo only smiled. "You once said that you will follow Shiju's current wish. I can make Shiju become even more powerful, so powerful that it is willing to appear on its own accord. Since you've chosen me, then you should trust me. Isn't that so?" The Azure Dragon did not speak again. Yi-Ching Luo flipped over and leapt onto Shiju's back. He slowly leaned down and whispered into Shiju's ear, "Shiju, do you still remember the training competition in the Heavenly Academy?" Shiju blinked its leopard eyes. "Master is right. That's right." Yi-Ching Luo's eyes were tainted with a chilly smile. "Just pay attention to one point. As long as you succeed, the soul-devouring formation will be broken." Shiju's leopard eyes widened as it was shocked by what Yi-Ching Luo said. However, as a battle pet, Shiju obeyed Yi-Ching Luo's every command unconditionally. It did not ask for the reason. "I will try my best to help you, Master." Yi-Ching Luo patted it lightly. Shiju leaped up, moving swiftly like lightning towards another empty direction. He had lost the awe of the dragon race. The array's eye spirit immediately reacted as it howled and chased after Yi-Ching Luo's direction. Yi-Ching Luo was half lying on the back of Shiju. Out of the corner of his eye, he kept glancing at the spirit of the formation core that was closing in on him. Then, he controlled Shiju and used all kinds of strange and complicated footwork to avoid the attacks of the formation core spirit, until they were about 50 meters away from DMO Xian. Yi-Ching Luo then made Shiju stop. With a shake of his body, he flipped off the back of the seal. The glowing flame fan in his palm spun rapidly. Immediately after, the spirit of the formation flapped its black wings once again and charged over. Yiqing Luo was like a cannonball as she charged forward. Bang! Her glowing flame fan was like a spinning wheel of wind and fire. Wherever it went, the spirit of the formation core would be sliced into several pieces. As he approached the formation spirit, Yiqing Luo directly raised her leg and gave a vicious kick on the array core spirit's fat body. The spirit of the formation roared and was sent flying, rolling a few times in the air. The wounds on its body caused by Yiqing Luo's glower flame fan had made its entire shape full of potholes and was in a mess. Roar! The array core spirit held a few times as it opened its mouth wide towards Yiqing Luo, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws to put on an act. The wounds all over his body once again emitted a dense, evil aura. The net made of evil energy in all directions was getting bigger and bigger. Yiqing Luo's eyes lit up as her lips curled into a chilly arc. Shijue, it's your turn. Just as this densely packed large net was charging towards Yiqing Luo, Yiqing Luo's figure suddenly retreated backwards. Following closely was Shiju, who had its mouth wide open as it charged towards the dense, evil aura. But in a split second, that huge body of Shiju was completely swallowed by the dense, evil aura. Shiju, the pet space was in a riot. Chapter 3594. But, due to the contract between both parties, under the circumstances where Yiqing Luo intentionally sealed the pet space, Azure Dragon had no way to get out from the space. Yiqing Luo's eyes stared intently at Shiju, which was being engulfed by the evil qi. Her heart was also beating wildly anxiously. Her slender fingers clenched tightly into a fist. Her forehead was also dripping with sweat. In fact, her heart was not as relaxed as Azure Dragon, even if she had 100% certainty that it would succeed. But seeing this scene, Yiqing Luo was still unavoidably nervous. She was afraid that Shiju was still a cub and didn't have much battle experience, hence it would fail. The ink-like evil aura continued to spread. The pair of wings on the array core spirit's back kept on flapping. That dragon-like tail was swatting over and over again in midair. Wherever it crashed, numerous huge pits were formed. Just at this moment, suddenly, a mournful howl was heard from within that evil qi. Like a huge net, the evil qi, which almost covered half the sky, started to become smaller bit by bit. In just a few breaths' time, that evil qi had already revealed half of Shiju's body. Yiqing Luo chased up to it, and with a flying kick, she kicked the array core spirit. Dong! The array core spirit fell from the sky and crashed heavily onto the ground. Along with Shiju, it also fell onto the ground. Shiju's feet stepped hard on the array core spirit. It opened its big mouth, biting tightly on the array core spirit's neck. Endless evil qi scuttled between Shiju's sharp fangs. How would the array core spirit have the energy to deal with Yiqing Luo now? It roared as it quickly released the evil qi in its body and started to entangle Shiju. Under the entanglement of the evil qi, Shiju's huge body seemed to be torn apart by sharp teeth and meat grinder. But the only thing which was biting on the array core spirit's head was still biting on the array core spirit. This scene instantly made Azure Dragon bared his teeth in anger. Yiqing Luo, what on earth are you trying to do? Are you sending Jur to die? In the pet space, Azure Dragon was extremely agitated. It was frantically trying to rush out of the pet space. The other war pets had no way to persuade it. And at this moment, Yiqing Luo's eyes were locked tightly, staring at Shiju without blinking. At the moment when Shiju was torn into pieces, her pupils dilated and her fingers dug into her palms. His eyes were a little red. However, she did not step forward immediately. Instead, he quietly moved to the back of the formation spirit. Just as the Azure Dragon was roaring crazily in the horizon, The shiju that seemed to have been ground into minced meat by a meat grinder actually started to gather bit by bit. Then it landed on the head of the spirit of the formation I, which was biting on tightly. But in an instant, the shiju was formed once again. And this time, shiju's physique clearly had a huge change. The sharp fangs became even sharper. The formation I spirit let out a few wild roars. Its wings shook violently, and it actually wanted to escape. However, he was pressed to the ground by Shijue with a claw. Shiju quickly swallowed all the evil energy released by the spirit of the array core. It was as if it was devouring the darkness. Meanwhile, Yiqing Luo had already neared the back of the array core spirit. A vast aura gathered on the glowing flame fan. Yiqing Luo moved. It headed straight for the tip of the formation I spirit's tail. Profound energy surged. A kacha sound was heard. The tail of the formation I spirit was directly chopped off. In a split second, a burst of rumbling, explosive sound was heard. The ground shook as it started to collapse in all directions. The moment the tip of the formation I spirit's tail was broken. Chapter 3595. The array core spirit has been disintegrated. Old Man Song cried out excitedly. Quick, break these array mediums, and the spirit-devouring array will be completely disintegrated. Yiqing Luo's lips curled upwards. Right from the start, she had sensed it. The array core spirit's tail had always curled up from time to time, especially when it was facing Shiju. After Shiju had forcefully swallowed all the evil qi. Under the rage of the array core spirit, that dragon-like tail curled up into a ball tightly. Yiqing Luo concluded. This tail was probably the array core spirit's weakness. As expected, this was the tail end of the array core spirit. Even if it gathered the evil qi, it was also the array core's central fulcrum. Cutting off the array core spirit's tail end. Cutting off the array core spirit's energy fusion. Losing the central fulcrum. Using the array's medium, the array core spirit, which was gathered and formed, was beaten back to its original form. Shiju, Yiqing Luo cried out. Following that, she leapt upwards. Her eyes congealed as her profound energy was injected into the glower flame fan. Profound qi surged, bringing along a biting cold and overbearing energy as it charged towards those black light balls. Shiju howled towards the sky as it bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it charged towards the black light balls. The majestic flames were like a volcano erupting in midair. Immediately, the dark horizon was dyed with a brilliant red glow. On the other side, Pei Sheng had just stepped into the array. Everything in front of him turned into a towering mountain range that pierced through the clouds. The mountain range was layered, one after another. He called out Luo a few times, but there was no response. Looked like he had been separated from Di Luo. He didn't know where this place was. It was really strange. He didn't know where his little sister was. Even Di Luo had lost track of her. The man's handsome face frowned tightly. He couldn't sit here and wait for death. He had to find his little sister and Luo first. Pei Sheng congealed his senses as he walked towards the layered mountain range, while calling out Yiqing Luo and Gu Zixi names loudly. After walking for about half an incense's time, Pei Sheng's sharp senses heard a dull groan coming from not too far away. His heart trembled as he hurried over towards the sound. From the other side of the mountain range, Xiao Qian saw a dense flock of black flying beasts in front of him. In the middle of the flock of birds, a petite girl was half kneeling by the cliff, staring at the birds that filled the sky with vigilance. Under the pressure of the bird, the girl gradually crawled back a few steps. Traces of blood were left on the ground. After a while, the girl stopped beside the cliff. Take another step back. It was a bottomless abyss. As the girl retreated, the gravel fell to the ground without a sound. The girl's face was pale. She raised her head and glared at the birds in the sky. Her pretty face was filled with unwillingness. Just as the birds were flapping their wings and pouncing towards the girl, a voice suddenly rang out. The girl clenched her fists. Gritting her teeth, she leaped into the air intending to fight to the death with the birds in the sky. Suddenly, she heard a man's panicked voice. "Little sister." The girl was startled, and her eyelashes trembled. A look of disbelief appeared on his face. Was she hallucinating right before she died? Why, I think I heard Brother Shung's voice. This absent-mindedness gave the birds a chance to pounce on her. One by one, Sharpbeak pecked at the girl. One by one, Sharp Claws grabbed towards the girl. "Little sister." This scene made Pei Shung's eyes turn bloodshot. His heart was in pain, as if it was about to stop. His body quickly dashed towards the direction of the girl.